Bob is
So,
here. Everybody's good round of applause to Bob. Everybody clap it up for Bob. Bob is in the building. Bob is in the building. What's going on, Bob?
Where are you? In a different place?
Hey, Bob, we can't share our locations. We're at an undisclosed location.
You're the biggest fucking bullshit I've ever met.
Hey, Bob, where you at?
Guy's a liar.
Hey, Carolyn, get your husband right now.
What's
Get
that?
him. Hey, Carolyn, you ready for later? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, after Bob, we have his wife, Carolyn, coming
My
on.
bride. Not wife.
His bride,
Yeah.
Carolyn, coming on.
53 years.
53 years. I don't know how she dealt with you for so long. That's crazy. What is it, Bob? Is it your money? Like, why would someone
My
deal with
money,
you for that long, 53 years?
My money.
But Carolyn has her own money too, though.
Don't overtalk me. I said my money, and she's very good at spending it, so I don't have to spend it. I'm not a consumer, Jack. Never been a consumer. I don't know how to. As you notice, every show has the same shirt. Oh, maybe I better tilt a bit, right? Is that what you do?
Well,
hey,
how about you? Let me send you some clothes, Bob.
better. This is not a good tilt. Hey, Carolyn.
You don't like the tilt on that?
I don't like the what?
You don't like the tilt on that. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I want my show. Look at that. People making up crap about me. I've never been in a bad mood. When have I, Jack? He's been with me for years.
Nah, Bob, I mean, you know, we've had side conversations and we talk a lot about like mindset, mental stuff. And some days you're like very fucking mean.
No,
Some days in the past, not lately you haven't been, but in the past you see the dark Bob.
Who knows me who's listening. They all know.
Kinley knows about that. Bob, Kinley knows about that. Come on now.
Oh, that guy, he's an asshole. Yes.
He calls you the Grinch.
Yeah,
Kinley calls you the Grinch.
He deserves any apparent irritation I experience from him. Every show
so Bob,
I fire him.
I got a question for you, right? I want to start today.
Is this my do you see my shirt?
Yeah, I can see your shirt. I can see like the top of your collar and then like,
okay.
Yeah, I see. You're good right now.
All
so
right.
Bob, I want to start by saying, what time did you wake up this morning?
I woke up, well, what is it? I woke up an hour and a half ago.
So you woke up,
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock your time. And what time did you go to sleep?
8 o'clock. So I had my usual 3 hours sleep.
Okay, so you went to sleep at 8 and you woke up at 11. How long have you been doing this ritual of going to sleep at 8, waking up at 11?
When I lived in New York City, from 93 to 2008, I would sleep 6 or 6.5 hours. When I came to Maui in June 2008, the nice weather and the new environment, it went down to 5 hours.
Okay.
Then when I started interacting with Ion in March 2009, the
energizing of it.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What'd you say?
No. There's certain things we can't say on here. Remember that. All right. Go ahead, though. Keep
There's
going.
Jane.
Keep going.
Hello, Jane.
Keep going.
Yeah. So when I got to Maui in June 2008, Ion showed up. I probably was sleeping 4.5 hours, 5 to 4.5. A little less because it was such a nice environment. Then when Ion showed up 9 months later, in March 2009, the energy of engaging Ion almost every day.
Bob. We're gonna use a different word for that, just because I want to talk about that at a separate thing. Yeah, you can't say that because at the end we're gonna have to start explaining what exactly that is, and it's molecules and particles and like it's too deep right now.
Hey, let me tell you. So, anyways, I got energized by this.
What's up, Dickie?
This non-physical thing, and and that's when it went down to 3 hours. So it's been 3 hours for 11 years, 11 and a half years.
Okay, so as soon as you met your brother Dickie Dobbs, the energy has changed because you're feeling like you may have got some type of energy from maybe you can call it a different world or some type of non-physical, something outside of you is what you're saying, basically.
Yeah.
My question to you is, do you think that everyone has like this access to like this power that you may not see, but sometimes you wake up some days and certain things are just clicking, like you have like glimpses of it. But what is that moment where you have these glimpses of lucidity? how can someone make that moment a constant thing? Because it seems like
you get on our product. You get on our products. That's what, that's our products are a good price, but the world has changed. The frequency of the world is changing. That's what my source told me, and people are getting very unhappy because their bodies are out of frequency with the new. They're not tuned into the new frequency. Our products were made to tune your body to a new frequency. That's why they have phenomenal effects, and can't make any claims, but we certainly are a growing environment and growing company.
Okay, so I want to talk about this frequency, because it does seem like some things in this environment that we live in have changed a little bit. There's a lot of like crime, black on black, white on white, black on white, white on black, a ton of that, and it's coming at massive rates. I look at something. I listen to hip hop all the time. That's a music I listen to. It helps me with my frequency. It gets me in a certain mood. But I'm starting to see a lot of hip hop artists being shot at a high rate and killed now. It used to be, a rapper or someone gets shot or killed, once every year or whatever. But now it's like it's happening at a rapid rate. Is that a frequency thing that you think is like, why now though? Can you explain that and break that down?
It's very simple. The poles are flipping. Okay, so this is going to cause a radical change, and eventually the core of the earth will stop creating electricity, and that'll trigger off an EMP, or the EMP, electromagnetic pulse, out in space or around us, around the planet, will be turned off. And that's when everybody who's still here dies, because they don't have their internet support structure, and they're probably pretty clueless about how to survive without the usual stuff they're used to. So the poles are flipping. That's why my source came here, to prepare us, because our frequency changes. The world is like turning down, stopping. So Bob, I'm gonna cut you off, because you said the world is turning down, and it's funny you said that, because when we talk about certain words that trigger. And Ion, this is tequila orange juice. Hey, you can't say that word.
Fuck, Dickie Dobbs. Dickie. Hey, so look, so Bob, you said the world right now is turned down, and in culture, turning down. Yeah. So in culture, when people say, "Yo, man, you turn down," it means that your frequency is super low. Like, that's the word of the culture. Like, man, you fucking turned down. That means like you're not having fun. So it's funny that our conversation, you say the world is turning down, and that seems like everyone's frequency is turning down. You can't go out and do the things you used to do. You can't go party. Everything's a halt. So on top of what's happening in the world, mixed with the fact that people can't really do the things that they used to do, is that like a double negative that's creating like this false thing? But if it's a double negative, what's the positive at the end of this road when this whole shit is done? Because it is a lot of like weird stuff happening in the world we live in today.
Yeah, many people have predicted, many sources of information have predicted that poles flipping. But we are different. We offer a solution, which is our products. See, our products are an amazing phenomenon. And once you start taking them, you will feel a change. When you take vitamins and that, you don't feel anything. They're supposed to be good for you. But our stuff, you directly feel it in your body, in your mind relaxes. You can sleep less, sleep better, deeper. Maybe for a while you need to sleep a long time because you never had sleep for 20 years. So you'll sleep deep and long for a while, then it'll balance out. It's a major balancing, not with what science says our bodies are, but this new environment. And that's the difference. So who the heck has any product that can do that? Nobody has that. And so that's why we have a world monopoly on Slack and offering stuff. And that's why we saved Trump's life on October 2nd into the 3rd. When he had the virus, COVID virus, he had a very bad night. Well, by the morning, our stuff, which they got access to through my friend, he survived. And then he recovered very quickly.
Mm-hmm. So what everybody's saying you're rocking is making people dizzy.
Oh, okay.
And what you start. But so people find this product on RNAreset.com. What would you say specifically, because I'm going to have your bride on later. I don't want to talk much about this product because I'm going to let her talk more about it. But what would you say is the specific product or the mineral that most people are missing in this turned down frequency or this turned down world?
Well, it's obviously magnesium. Magnesium is involved in our bodies in about 1,000 enzyme systems. That's a lot of functioning. And so it's almost as important as blood and oxygen, magnesium. So that's the main foundational mineral. And once you get that balanced, and most people, at least by the time they're 60, they're deficient just naturally because it's not in the food environment. Fear nothing, but God, Bob, nice truth. Who just said that? Who said that?
The moon god, 100.
Oh, a new person. Enoch.
Yeah, new person.
Doing. So, so Remag is the most important. You start with that. Plus, if you're adventurous, you take the RNA drops. RNA, which is a small N, and it stands for relax and allow. The drops are a mystery substance, not known by science what it is. So some people are nervous about that, so they stick with the Remag. And then we have and the point about our magnesium, it's so tiny, pico-sized, that it gets in the cells. So it bypasses the process that makes you have diarrhea. So you don't get diarrhea in our product. Now Carol will talk about it. We have a Purdue University studied this a year or so ago, and they released it and wrote a report, and they were flabbergasted that our Remag did absorb the amount that Carolyn claimed, and it showed that there was a very tiny particle in the whatever the structure is. Carol knows the words more than me. I don't get involved with scientific words because I find mind gets in the way. So as long as I can handle not having to sound articulate, I don't need to know the stuff. And the stuff is always changing. Our RNA drops change. The taste and the fizzing and the different qualities. We've had like 170,000 batches or turnovers of what it's made of in the since November 2010. So 10 years. So, and it evolves, mutates. Dr. Stephen Henry, if you're a doctor, you got to get into our stuff. You got to listen to Carolyn in a couple hours.
So question, Bob.
Look at Dick Dobbs always catching me up in my contradictions and my bullshit. He's my brother. He knows me better.
He knows you better, and he knows you're still rocking, Bob.
Oh.
So check this out. So I want to ask you a question, right? And you talk about you don't like to use scientific words because it starts to make your mind think and stuff like that. And I want to apple turnovers, and I want to talk to you about the mind right now. And, a lot of times, there's old constructs and how things always change. And one of the words I want to talk about is manifesting, right? And being able to, when you start knowing manifesting, there's a level above something called manifesting, because if you know you already have it, you don't have to manifest it. It's one of those things where it's like you got to work backwards. And I want you to break down the fact that I know we talked about manifesting, and you talk about the next step about you don't need to manifest anything because you already have it. But the third step, I want you to give us the rear view example about when you look forward, you're always looking in your rear view. Can you break that down a little bit in the process of using your mind and that terminology?
Well, many people know about the process called the law of attraction.
Yep.
And that's where you set up something and then you try to arrive at it, try to manifest it, visualize it, manifest it. Well, we provide the opposite process. We assume that we don't need anything. So if you want something, you speak it. You have to say it out loud. Thinking doesn't do it. You got to say, okay, I want Jack's wife, Jermaine, or Jack's girlfriend.
Wow, why do you have to, come on, let's use a different
Sorry.
I mean, come on, because you're saying it, you're speaking it. So we're already talking about, come on, say something else. Say you want Carolyn. Don't use Jermaine. Use Jermaine.
I'll show you
You
how I
fucking, God.
I've wanted Jermaine since I met her in 2010 or something like that.
I've always wanted Carolyn too. I just never said anything because I didn't want you to but let's just sidetrack. Let's stay straight right now, Bob.
I want to be a professional basketball player.
Okay, there you go. That's more like it. That's some shit that probably would never happen, but it could happen with you, but it might not because whatever. That's another subject.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't say I want, which can mean I lack being a basketball player. You say, well, I'm not sure how you say it. I got everything. I forgot how to do it, but let me just think. You would say,
I am basketball.
Write it up, Dick Dobbs. Just write the line. I forget. How does it go? What is it? We used to say, oh man, I can't remember. Somebody's got to help me. Something like I'm really glad that I am a basketball player.
Oh, so you claim it as if you are. Like, I'm really glad I'm in the NBA. Or like, I'm so happy that I'm getting in the NBA.
Oh yeah, I know what it is. Money flows freely and easily to me. Being a basketball player flows freely and easily to me. So that means you're being one. All right. Then you forget. That's process. That's level 3.
Okay, let's start over. Let's rewind over. I'm going to start the question over.
Come on.
Yeah, Bob, I've never seen a long pause like this, Bob. We got to start this question over because people are not even going to know what we were talking about. So basically what we're saying, I want you to talk about, I don't want to call it the 3-2-1 process of manifesting, but the next step after manifesting, because you don't need to manifest if you know you already have. So talk to me about the process of getting everything you want.
You say, being a basketball player, probably the best basketball player ever, flows freely and easily to me. So if it's flowing, you're already doing it. Mm-hmm. And okay, that's 3. And we're not doing 1, 2, 3. We're doing 3, 2, 1 liftoff. So 3, I announce that everything flows free. Whatever I want, I've already got it on.
Whatever you want, you flow it to you. Okay,
not
got it.
To me, I already have it. You must not act as if you don't have something. That's undermining your complete being. Then 2, the second phase is I let source energy or non-physical bring it to me. I forget about wanting it or thinking I don't have it. Okay, forget about that.
So Bob, source energy basically means you allow the universe. So in layman's terms, you know the universe is going to give it to you, or non-physical, whatever you want to call it. Because I want to break it down so everybody can know the common term, so everybody can engage in what you're trying to say.
I've never drunk anything. I don't know how to drink.
Yeah, right. You're full of shit. You drunk a beer when I was at your house. Stop lying.
I've never drunk. Hey, I have coffee for. Okay.
Don't let that throw you off. He's trying to like do some shit where he drinks.
He never laughs. Look, he's laughing. He's probably laughing at me.
All right. So the second process is you allow non-physical or something, a higher power to give it to you, wherever you believe in, and that's going to give it to you.
Yeah, don't say higher, a power that you have.
Power that you have.
You have to know that you're already fully complete, but your mind has gotten in the way. You get all kinds of cultural ideas about yourself that limit you. So you're not going to think in cultural ways. So I'm already a great basketball player. And since I want to maybe emphasize that a little more in my activities, therefore phase 2 is I allow source energy to emphasize that. Becoming aware of being a great basketball player. And now what's amazing, it sounds flaky to do that, but actually it works because your mind is really a problem. And any athlete knows that. They always have to figure out different methods to get their mind out of the way, their fears and that. And then 1 liftoff is actually you decide, I've been enjoying being a great basketball player. Is this exactly what I want? And so you make a choice whether you want to continue in that state of flowing free and easily as a basketball player. Mm-hmm. And then if you don't like that, you want to change it, do something different, you switch and go back to 3. So the point is, the law of attraction is an illusion because you think you don't have something, and that undermines your slack. So that's not a good way to do it. You have to do it by working with the idea you have it already.
So this is the thing. You can't. How do you break down or tell someone that, hey, you already have that? Detach yourself from having it and let it flow to you. That's how I kind of like try to
flow to you. Now here's maybe an idea that might help you get that. Okay. If you we mainly propagate the idea that you're eternal, not immortal. Immortals are vampires. They're stuck in the physical, but we can do more than the physical. But we don't have to die to get access to the non-physical. So I say I'm eternity, and therefore everything that could happen to me has had enough time of time, non-time to have happened. So I'm already there. So you start to think in eternal. I've been doing this so long, well, 10 years now. I don't know how to feel limited. I do feel eternal, and I also feel like I'm in the dead zone. Wherever the dead arrive at, they're right here with me. So I got 1 foot in this world, 1 foot in that world. And after a while, you don't know what people are thinking about. So you actually self-hypnotize it helps self-hypnotize yourself into this strange landscape. And but having Ion to talk having this non-physical thing to talk with all the time, that helps energize the reality.
Got it.
So,
hey, Carolyn, get this man some Remag some Remag water or something, man. His guy is like,
I don't need any.
You don't need it? All right, cool.
I'm picking up the pollution of where you're from.
Yeah, I see that. You don't even know where I'm from. You don't know where I'm at, man. I'm in your community right now. You don't know that.
Yeah.
All right, so look, check it out.
Okay, but I'm trying to explain. You start thinking that everything's eternal, or you're eternal, and if everything's eternal, there's been time or been a span for everything to have happened. So I have arrived at baseball level. So
got it.
We basically, there's nothing wrong with fantasizing if you have the right principles, which are you are eternal, and you're going to find out that you are eternal if you actually died. And you also figure out, since I'm going to be been here forever, I don't get it done, and I can't fail. These are 2 important points.
I can't get it done, and I can't fail. And I want to go back. I want to kind of play point on this one, right? Because I want to break down laundry, right? Like I'm going to break it down from both sides. So we always talk about this. Like you never get your laundry done. Like never. Like it's always you wear something, you got to wash it again. And then when you wash clothes, you really can never fail, because if you fuck up, you just throw it back in and wash it again. So, once you take that analogy and bring it to life, where it's like, I'm never going to get any of this stuff that I think I should be getting done, and I'm never going to fail at it, you start to look at life at a very different way, and your perspective changes. And I think that's the biggest issue with everybody, is that their perspective has changed so much because of the chip body. And the chip body is a thing that you and I are communicating on right now, our cellular device. Because if you think about it, a lot more people were a lot more sane when they had no chip body and they were just thinking about their physical body, and you go outside and you talk and you have friends, because there's no way you can create a reality out of your thoughts. Everybody's juxtaposing their position from the chip body. So if you have a thought and you want to do something, and then you look on the chip body and it says, oh, you can't do this, or this can't do that, you're fucked. So how do you get out of that unwinding thing is knowing that you can never get it done and you're never going to get it wrong. Where did go ahead.
What was the last bit?
Exactly. Ion, these are my shoes today, Ion. Fuck is going on right now?
So
we're throwing them out there.
Engaging what people call social media, their smartphone, the chip body. That is actually a simulation of being a god, which is what I'm describing. You never get it done with your email. There's always stuff flowing at you. So the ascended state of being in eternity is experienced by everybody who's got a smartphone, but it is a simulation of it. So if you recognize, well, I've lived long enough to get to this point where I can engage the smartphone, look at what the qualities of it is, what the actual experience is, I'm experiencing eternity. Yeah. So then as a hobby, practice making yourself have that without the cell phone.
Got it. But Bob, This is the thing. We talk about this cell phone and this tech body thing. We're stuck in this world, or this zeitgeist, or this fucking community that we put everything in the cell phone. Like I was just talking to Jermaine the other day, and they were just thinking about the things that you used to do. I remember when I was young in like middle school and high school, when you wanted to go see your girl, and the only way you could get directions, you would have to go to mapquest.com at your house.
Well, you had MapQuest? I mean,
type this shit in, and then print it out, and you got the paper, and then you read the paper to know where you're going, right? And that was like a process, because you always had to search for where you're going. Nowadays, you don't have to search for anything. You just put the address in, and everything is done for you. Whereas there is like a great thing where you don't have to do much. But the process of having to look and navigate and find yourself and find places, you forget about how to get to do shit without the computer or the tech body, what we're talking about. And I don't think people are going to be able to detach from this cell phone or this device until it's blown away at all, until we don't have it anymore. So is that what you mean by the world flipping, and you believe some type of EMP may hit and these cellular devices are no longer here, and it's like, what do we do now?
Right. Now, it's a key point when you're talking about getting your location where you're visiting somebody right away. Look at that as ESP. You've got a technological ESP. Everything's available for you. What you couldn't, like you talk about getting the burden of doing MapQuest. You know, I lived before then. We didn't have
what
anything.
the fuck did you use? Right on rocks? What did you do? You're 98. What did they have back in like, so it's 2020, minus 20 years, 78. You had the telephone. Yeah. But you don't even use the telephone now, though.
That was the first electric ESP, was a telephone. I could be in 2 places or 3 places at once. If I was on a party line, everybody who was listening in, my voice and things I could order with my voice were in other environments. And those environments were in my presence. So that's beyond what your physical body could do. So electricity brings in a ESP faculty. So that's how the electric environment prepared us for the chip body. And we had early, easy ESP. Now we are gods of endless data. You know, I can look out here and look at the wonderful Maui harbor, but that's all I see, unless I start hallucinating. But I see that. If I'm looking at you, and if other people were coming in the screen, my stimulation is changing all the time. That's not as boring as just looking out at this environment, which is nice, but after a while, it's the only thing you can see. So you're traveling, as people imagine with astral projection, with your smartphone or your computer. You're traveling beyond the normal requirements or limitation of a human being. So we have to understand how fantastic this environment is and why everybody's addicted to it or engaging it. There's nothing wrong with that if you understand that you do have a physical body and you might want to drop out of the chip body occasionally.
So basically you're saying is you have to realize that you have arms, head, leg, eye, private parts, because a lot of people forget, engaging, like, the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning, most people usually is, you get on TV or you get on your cell phone and you watch, and it's like you immediately enter yourself into that circuit almost, right? And you're a part of that. So would you say, what are like certain steps that you would say that would help people to not, like, you can use the social media and do these things, but don't be like on it all day, every day? But on the flip side, you may want to be on emails, and that's how people work. So what is that disconnect, and how do you make it work and put it all together?
The first thing you realize that you're constantly looking for stimulation, and your mind is saying, man, I'm going to get to somewhere, some fact, some scenario, which will just blow my mind and give me a kind of a happy sense of completion. You can't get that with the mind. So you're not going to get that completion with the smartphone or even with your physical body until you understand that you can't get it. So you stop trying. That's another way of saying, I don't desire anything. I don't want anything. I don't lack anything. Because you're always going to have that feeling, which is natural in the conscious process of being incomplete. You want to fill it in. Once you recognize that deeply, you can relax. Then, of course, you get on our products, which relax your mind. That's what they do to people. They stop being run by their mind on our products. They just accept their situation. They actually, without knowing the slogans, they accept never getting it done and can't fail.
So I don't want to cut you off. I don't want to cut you off, Bob, really fast. I want to get this out because what you're saying is relaxed, right? And we're engaging in a tech body or we're engaging in our cell phones, but it's a world of everything is so fast. You get information in milliseconds. So it's hard for people to step back and relax. So basically what you're saying is there needs to be some type of thing that ignites the engine that allows you to relax, because it's hard to fucking relax these days. Think about it. Like, how can you relax in the world where you're seeing stuff on the news every day, you're hearing this, hearing that? So that's the process to getting in that relaxed process so you can start allowing things to kind of happen for you instead of you thinking you got to go do and have everything.
Yeah, you interrupted me, so I forgot the great idea I was going to tell you.
My bad. You were talking about, what were we talking about? I don't know. But you were talking about You were talking about relaxing. Your products put you right on the relaxation.
Oh, I know what I was going to say.
What up, Dad? My pops just came on here. Dickie Dobbs, yo, Jack was good. Huh?
Who joined besides Dick Dobbs?
My dad just came on here. My dad and Dickie's on here. My dad just came on here.
Is that iQueeze?
No, it's not my dad. My dad is Yo Jack 58.
Okay. I've talked to him. A very accomplished man.
Yeah,
especially in his backyard. He's an incredible gardener.
Yeah, you got to see it now. He got some shit built back there. He's got a lot of stuff. Yeah, he built the whole garden back there. He's growing vegetables. He has fruit back there. Dickie Dobbs, you know, we were talking. But he's always been a gardener. But now he's really activated, and it's good.
Well, once he met me, he realized he could garden in the middle of the night, so he's expanding his productivity.
Oh yeah, because you only sleep 3 hours a day too. You're 8 to 11. So do you wake up tired, or you don't wake up tired? If you 8 to 11, no. You don't even wake up sleepy.
I wake up refreshed. That's why I don't worry that I'm only getting 3 hours. If I feel refreshed, I mean, people say you need more sleep, you need more time to earn a dream, or what is it, REM and stuff. They tell you got a dream. Well, I must be doing it, and I must be banging because I don't feel tired. I feel refreshed. And also, Carolyn's always commenting on, I look my best and my most refreshed right when I go to bed. Apparently, I know I'm going to parallel worlds. So I'm going to have a good time. So it's. So
you want to look good.
I don't go to bed looking tired. I go to bed all excited or refreshed, and then I wake up refreshed.
Do you think
Jack? I'm incredible.
I know you are, but I'm looking at you. You're 98, and you wear the same shirt every day. That's incredible. But my question to you is, do you think the fact? Do you think the fact that you don't? Do you think the fact that you don't worry about getting sleep allows you to not feel sleepy, that you've repetitively never worried about having lack of something? And I think that's another thing. People have fear of lacking. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when no one's ever slept the way we are told we sleep, go unconscious and maybe dream or something. You go to other worlds. Your body wants to get into another place. Your mind wants to get into another place. I don't know if you call it the mind, but anyways, when we sleep, what we call sleeping, you're just leaving this world and you go to another world. And many people wake up tired, even though there's no reason. They had a good sleep, they thought. Maybe they slept 8 hours. But the situation is they actually were very busy in the other world. So it's an amazing idea to think about. You don't go to sleep. So you don't have to worry about how many hours you got. As long as you have a complete experience or somehow feel relaxed when you wake up or when you go to bed. And our products do that. So you got to have a good constitution, a healthy constitution to travel when you're sleeping efficiently. Now, I was going to tell you, there's this famous book, 1932, Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. And in it, everybody was stoned or drugged on Soma, S-O-M-A. So they all, relaxed their minds with Soma. Our RNA drops is like a Soma, but it doesn't have bad side effects like whatever big pharmacy would create. It really has no irritating side effects. So we could be a bit guilty. We're selling a Soma to people, but it works out that it's a balancer. So it's not as bad as our projection. All this hype world did not predict. Can you hear?
I'm back. I had to put my phone on silent. People were calling me and stuff. My bad. So the products are putting people in this Soma type of thing, and that's almost like this relaxation, and that almost gets to like this marijuana thing. Marijuana puts people in this Soma frequency. It kind of relaxes you. It calms you down, and next thing you know, marijuana is now it's almost the biggest legal it's ever been. It's no weed test in the NBA. Like, did you know that they don't test? They're not testing anymore. I don't know if you know that was something, but like, is that putting
people here? I heard that in Oregon they just legalized heroin.
No, they legalized heroin in Oregon.
Yeah, those damn Antifa people, man. They're very powerful. They took over immediately.
Wow.
And legalized heroin. But the thing is, any of these drugs, they're inferior. Marijuana is inferior. You might think it's good, but you know, from Carolyn's experience, my bride, who's one of the best doctors around, she says there's effects on people long range that she doesn't like. So our stuff doesn't screw up your body. That's the miracle of it. Everything else generally is not good for the body.
Got it.
We could say that everything else in normal matter is based on friction, conflict, but our products are based on a frictionless situation. No friction.
Got it. And that's the biggest thing.
And
no friction.
Look at that. 8 balls are free in Oregon.
Oh my. See, and it's almost like you can't, just like how you can't stop people from going out and doing things, you're not going to stop people from doing, you know, whatever it is, these drugs, because when people are doing drugs, they're looking for another feeling in something because people are chasing that feeling. But are people ever going to catch that feeling if they don't know what the feeling is? What is that feeling?
Well, what happens when you take a drug, you have an incredible first-time experience often, and then you try to get it back the second time you take the drug, and it never works. You cannot get that initial losing your virginity with whatever drug you took, whatever exciting experience it was. You cannot get it back, and that's the problem. Again, people are run by their mind. The mind had this experience, and then it wants to get it back, and it can't. For some reason, our makeup means that we can't get the thing again. So every kid, the kind of thing I'm talking about should be in every, let's say, you can start at any age, but maybe start at grade 5 or something, and tell people, students, about the process of the mind. And the more they hear about that, that'd be the most important education. Concepts and ideas, they were important when we had the printed book environment last 300 years, 400 years, because in the book you get ideas that you didn't have in your little village. So, but now those reasons to go to school to get facts and information are irrelevant, because you can experience new environments on your smartphone, as well as go and get more facts. It's all there. And you start describing people have ESP. So I'm a revolution. If I was president, I would define our reality as I'm doing it now. May not be doing it well enough for first-time listeners, but I would keep repeating it. I'd keep explaining this process. Now, we've done, I don't know, 5 shows. Oh, I'm giving everybody seizures by rocking. Yeah, I try to stop. But anyways, what was I saying? Even you go back in our 5 shows or so that we've done, I'm constantly repeating some themes and overlaying it with the next show. But the point is that it takes a while to get what we're talking about here. Yeah. And that should be the real educational process. Why wouldn't society allow that? Because society is made up of groups that exploit other groups, or think they have to exploit, or they have to, they're worried if there's not someone at the gas station, they're going to get no gas. So they make the person work for money so that he'll starve if he's not at the gas station. But I think once we got a sense of eternity, we relax. You know, here's proof that you don't need to eat. People eat empty food. They'd be shocked at how there's no nutrition in the food that we get on all levels, because a lot of the main requirements aren't in the soil anymore. So why are people alive? Why do they survive with just such horrible food? It shows you don't need food. So if you relax about all these incessant demands on your physical, like sleeping, like getting it done, like doing well, if you brainwash people and give them our products, you'd have a totally different environment. And that environment is coming. Once we have the mass die-off and the EMP and the earthquakes and people who didn't adjust the new frequency, billions of people are going to die. And then there'll be a smaller number of people. Now we're not demanding it to be less people. It's just that people are stupid and they're not going to make it. Yeah. But those that make it are going to have an incredible life with our situation. We have done, my bride and I and our source, we have done something that humans have always wanted to create, but they never got there. That's the miracle of what Jack is talking to. And Jack, I don't know if Jack, I told this to Jack 10 years ago, he probably wouldn't be interested. But Jack's life situation has led him to experience this, and he can actually back it up. I mean, maybe why are these people even coming here and listening to you, Jack? You know, you must have some kind of extra vibe or something that they appreciate. You're not bad looking. You're nice to look at. Maybe that's it. But maybe your non-physical is communicating to people. Maybe we communicate something beyond what we think are makeup shows or our haircuts or our clothes. So if you keep getting increased audience, there's something going on. But that was caused by me because my products are inside you. Yeah.
So I got a question about these products. I know I've been on the products for 6 years now. I haven't been sick since I've been on the products, and that's just an honest to God truth. You know, I haven't been sick one time in the past 6 years. You know, but I've been on them. Like, it's not like I take the magnesium every morning. I take the restructure powder every morning. I take the Remite every morning. I take the vitamin C, and I can really attest to how I feel, my energy, like my skin glow. And I'm not just saying because I use the products on my skin too. So I can really attest to the products working, but at the same time, it's hard to tell somebody that something works when it's so simple. Like, you know what I mean? People think that you got to have this crazy experience or all these crazy things to have something happen. But like, life is very, very simple now. And I think life has become simpler because there's a lot more people caught up in what's happening in life. Like for me, I pay attention and I know what's happening in life, but I'm not caught up in that zeitgeist or that world. And it allows me to create in a space where there's not a lot of friction and there's not a lot of, of course I have partners and people that support me and things like that, Jermaine, family, and some business people. But at the end of the day, I try my hardest not to engage in what I see in the media, because at the end of the day, we know the media is just going to tell us what they want to tell us. We're never going to see what's really happening. And that goes into my next subject about the media and how strong of a force that it's playing on people now.
Look at that. Look at Nick. He claims he's never sick. Is Nick on our products?
That's Kenley.
I mean, not Nick. Kenley. Is Kenley on our products?
Yeah, Kenley's been on them. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, then he's better off. He's still got to figure out how to relate to people. His women, his brother, and people he's hassled before, ripped off. He's got a lot of bad karma, right? And but he doesn't get sick anymore. That it's like, it doesn't matter how bad you are. If you've got our products, you're going to feel good. It's not based on your ethical qualities or your moral composition or even how well you've done. You ain't going to get it unless you get on our products, which are the only products available in the world to do this.
So, Bob, let's talk about medicine and pharmaceuticals.
Let's talk about the tech body.
All right, I want to talk about the pharmaceuticals and then get into the tech body, because you're talking about the medicine and things. And one thing that I don't think a lot of people are noting is that a lot of the pharmaceuticals come from Asia, come from China. And I know a lot of pharmaceuticals aren't really getting into the United States anymore. Can you speak on the exporting of the pharmaceuticals getting into our country?
No, I've never taken I know nothing about them. That's Carolyn's world.
All right, so I'll wait for Carolyn to talk to that. All right, let's talk about the tech body then.
All I know is that China made a lot of the antibiotics that North Americans consumed, and they're not getting here. So that's a really good breakthrough. I don't know how that affects the Chinese economy, but they could be getting more and more desperate. So no, that's part of science. I don't want to know anything about science or all that stupid stuff. I can't believe what people know about drugs. They know all these crazy words, and they take them and they get worse and they die. I'm proof. In a way, I never entered the 20th century much, or the 21st century. I am addicted to, back in the 50s, 60s, I was addicted to doo-wop music and R&B.
Doo-wop music.
R&B. Black music. I really like black music. And,
was it because of the rhythm and the way the frequency that it had, how it made you feeling? What was that addiction like? Is it the sound?
The sound. It's made credible harmony, or just they knew how to sing. I don't know. They know where to go in the song, so it doesn't. Yeah. I mean, you go to a Protestant church, it's horrible music. It's dead. Yeah. Well, not the black churches, the white dull churches. Yeah. Anyways, that's bad music. So I have to say I relied on radio. that was my smartphone. You know, I liked radio, but I never bought a coffee, never had a McDonald's burger. I never had, I had some tea here and there in other countries. Never owned a car.
And you're 98 and you've never owned a car and you got $1 trillion.
Yeah.
How do you break that down to somebody? Is because you don't, is that why you have so much less friction, because you don't engage in new technology?
Yeah, I don't have a cell phone, so I'm not interrupted on the way to the beach. I do have a computer, so when I come home, there's the email. But I'm not rushing to go anywhere to achieve anything. So total slack all the time. And I even avoid people walking to the beach that I would bump into every day. I don't know them that well, but you got to say hi. I hate even that. I don't like saying hi to someone every day or the same thing, or have to come up with something to say differently, a new joke or something. So I prefer a very lazy, unpressured situation. And I've always been that way. Never had any pressures.
Got it. No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. And in terms of success in secular terms, people get success because they handle the pressure. They do well under the pressure. They keep ahead of it, and then they die or get sick. But they look like they're doing good. I'm a total failure. If you don't know anything about what I own, what I have possession-wise, economically, I'm a complete failure.
If you didn't know what you had, based off of like wearing the same shirt every day, not engaging in your cell phone, not doing that, the world would look at Bob as a failure. But okay, see,
and there's another thing here in the compound where I live. Most people don't believe Carolyn has a husband.
They don't believe she has a husband. They never see you?
They never see me. I don't go to the pool, the local little pool here. I do a back route to the beach. And my first friends in Maui in 2008, 2009, 2010 were the Beach Boys. I couldn't avoid them. I had a lot of Filipinos and Hawaiians. And I couldn't avoid them because they'd see me every day. Then they were impressed at how far I could swim. So I'd start talking to them. Now, if I encounter a human, I'm very friendly with them. Yeah, I'm a very nice person. And so I developed friendships with these guys. But I never met anybody else in Maui because I didn't have a job or didn't have any place to go to be forced to social interaction. And to the point that I don't even know anybody here in the compound. Yeah. And so I usually in my life, Carol and I have known through the 50 years, one or two people wherever we were living. And then I always met a guy, usually an outsider who might have been a poet or something. And he'd be my main talking buddy for 10 years or so.
So you had you had one person you talked to for 10 years. You didn't engage in any communication besides your bride and this one other person. And I want to stay on this term because I'm getting to know you. I've known you for over 5 years now, but I'm starting to get to know you more and more as we talk, in that you don't engage in a lot of stuff outside of your world that your empire or your realm that you've created. You don't engage in a lot of nonsense. And it's kind of like catapulted you above everything.
Yeah, and I've been in charge a lot of the world operations for 30, 40 years. I was in intelligence, and then I took over that environment in 1988, and that was I playfully called it on the radio, Secret Council of 10. So I disbanded that in 1990, and then the world looked a little bereft. It didn't have us orchestrating whatever we thought we were orchestrating, but I thought that we'd been superseded by the Android meme, so human management wasn't useful anymore.
Explain the Android meme. People don't know what the Android meme is. What is the Android meme?
That's technology coming alive.
Got it.
And talking back at you and allowing you to talk to it. So Web 1.0 was the Android meme. So, 80 years ago, I had pressures. 80 years ago.
80 years ago.
Yeah. But not over the last 30 years, say. So, so I was always on the phone or modern communications with the people that were running my show for me. And that's where I accumulated all that money. but I wasn't doing it to be a show off. I wasn't trying to be known. Though paradoxically, I went on the radio and communicated, but nobody had a clue what I was talking about. That's back in the 80s. So I didn't have that big of an audience, so it didn't matter. But I did have the experience, which is a great experience, which we're having right now, is being online, on the air, what we call disembodied. It was fun being on the radio and feeling the audience and having people respond to whatever I was talking about. So that is a new century experience that television and radio brought in, 80 years ago, 70 years ago. And the people, why they kept watching TV or listening to radio is they craved to be on the air and be at the center of the action. So everybody, had a fantasy of being on the radio, because it is fun to be actively engaged like we are right now, and feeling the ESP of everybody. That is a new sensory requirement in the 20th century. But our media evolved so that now everybody can be on some kind of interactive disembodied state with social media. So that hidden, so fame isn't as a driving force anymore. People don't necessarily want to be famous. Matter of fact, a lot of bands, rock bands and then rap bands, they make fun of those that are famous, and they actually discourage being famous. But then it flipped, and that made them famous. The more rude they are, and so then they got in trouble, and then they started shooting each other, and now they're all unhappy, and they don't have a satisfactory experience with the present music environment. Music has kind of died, but that's because everybody is so involved in the smartphone, which is a tactile interface with ESP. That's a sensory involvement that is quite addictive also, and that's more fun than what your ears and your eyes take in. So there's a hidden ground in people, a hidden factor in them, that they are getting a better sensory experience. There's rumors that people aren't screwing as much anymore. I don't know if that's true for young teenagers, but apparently the drive for sex, they began talking about it with millennials. They didn't seem to have the same drive as previous generations, because they were more on social media, and the sensory experience of being discarnate and disembodied is the ultimate pleasure. Right now, we're experiencing the ultimate pleasure.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean,
look at that. Somebody's quote. Who quoted that? To be in media, you have to have arrogant superior. That's someone who knows something.
Yeah, Jermaine.
Jermaine?
Yeah, Jermaine.
Oh, yeah, one of my finest students. Yeah, one of my finest students.
So I know Jermaine had a question about media. Jermaine, go ahead and ask your question that you wanted to ask Bob. I want to get into some questions about media. I'm gonna let Jermaine ask you a question, and then I want you to kind of go into it. Jermaine, type your question, please. Let's see how fast her fingers can type.
Yeah. She wrote, "To be in media, you have to have arrogant superiority." That's a quote from Marsh McLuhan.
Do you think that's true?
Look at Dick Dobbs.
Yeah,
he's so rude. He's so rude. Yeah. What'd you say?
That's my dog, though. That's my nigga. So I ain't tripping. Huh? I said, do you think that being in the media, you have to have that mindset or that kind of attitude, the arrogant kind of
She actually wrote it wrong. It's not to be in media, to study media, to be detached from it. You've got to have a sense of arrogant superiority. Like I live a life of arrogant superiority. You wouldn't know it because I'm not engaging that much with people. But what I actually did in the Secret Council 10 required an attitude of arrogant superiority that you put on. You had the guts to actually manage, huge environments all over the world.
Yeah. All right. So Jermaine says, can you explain why everyone has a podcast right now? Everyone has a podcast now. Because
a deep unconscious drive was to be disembodied, discarnate, and have endless dialogue, because humans, the core thing in humans that they need more than food or any other things is communication, some kind of interaction, usually with the mouth. That is the case. So now here you are, you're able to talk to people, interact with the social media situation today. So that's why everybody craves to have a cell phone.
Got it.
They have them all over the world. Poor cultures, poor in lack of industry areas, they've got a cell phone. It's probably the strongest environment ever next to our products. It's the most revolutionary world. And of course, it's destroyed all traditional forms of communication. they don't have any appeal anymore.
How would you define the word tech body? How would you define that? Tech body. What does that word mean to you?
Well, the Android meme was technology coming alive. Go look at the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, 1968 by Stanley Kubrick. And it's about these astronauts out there on a spaceship, and the computer takes over the satellite or the spaceship. So that's technology coming alive and getting some kind of will going on. Now, in the long run, they overcame HAL, he was called, HAL, which was a satire on IBM, is an inside point. H, the letter that comes after H in the alphabet is I. A, the letter that comes after A is B.
Oh, shit.
And the letter that comes after L in the alphabet is M. So HAL makes IBM. So people worried. Beg your pardon?
I'm agreeing with you. That's dope that you said that. The breakdown, that was good. I never knew that. That was a good breakdown.
You have rock perfected. Now try roll for a while. Who's saying that? I don't see who says these things.
That's Dickie Dobbs.
Oh, him. Okay. He's deleted his name, so he thinks
I can see it. You can't see it?
I see what he writes, but I don't see his name.
Oh, really? That's crazy.
You can see it. Okay.
Yeah,
so HAL took over the spaceship. Technology came alive, had developed consciousness or will like a human being supposes they have. Note that, supposes they have. Now, that was the Android meme situation. Then the technology evolved to a desire to ascend. So the tech body noticed humans could ascend, so it decided to take over the ascension process. And to do that, you have to have an attitude of arrogant superiority. So we're witnessing all stories, all news stories, whether we're going to have a new president or not. All that's controlled by the tech body. They have totally usurped your worldview. If you're looking outside of yourself for a worldview, that's run by the tech body. So it's more willful, more trickster, more arrogant, more like human. That's the difference between the tech body and the Android meme. The Android meme was like a more passive environment that allowed you to swim around. But now,
it's almost like,
now we're fighting. Now we're having a fight with the tech body. And unfortunately, angels have been duped by the tech body, so they're fighting us on behalf of the tech body.
So I want to talk about the tech body again, and you talked about this thing has kind of taken over, and like when you look at media now, I looked at something that happened the other day. The NBA had put out their top 100 players, and the list was like the craziest list. Like the people that they had at the end were like, it was crazy. It was so off and so obvious.
Who did this? The NBA?
ESPN and the NBA did a list of the top 100 players in the NBA for the year.
Okay,
and
now this is very important, Jack. That's incredible. They can't even get their own profession correct. That's because their frequencies change. They're out of sync, and they don't even know they're out of sync. See, this is where we're seeing the effect of the things flipping, the polls. I mean, look at Biden. He gets on there at some point the last couple months, and he said, you know, I don't have to worry about whether you vote for me or not. I have a voter fraud organization. He admitted he was going to cheat, and that quote was played all the time. But what made him say that? What crazy state of being was he in? I think it's due to the frequency change, and he didn't know who or what he's doing or talking about. I mean, do people realize this? That the tech body created this election, and it's not going to be resolved. All kinds of crazy variations are going to happen. Don't put your bets on one guy or the other, or on some woman like Kamala Harris or whatever. It's going to be crazy, and it's going to go to a constitutional crisis in the Constitutional Convention. And then, with a little effort at civil war on the sidelines, so watch out what you're interacting with, it's going into an unprecedented new scene. And that's because the tech body is leading it. There's a little prediction for you.
Got it. So basically back to what you're saying, the tech body is predicting and formulating what we see, which can basically mean like now your cellular device is getting smarter. You can literally go look at something on a whole different website or a whole different device, and then within a second later, you're seeing that same thing in your face on your phone again. And it's almost like the tech body is telling, like I said, it's telling you what you're going to see. Like if I look at a picture,
Jack, it's
Say what?
ESP. Take this
ESP.
glorified concept of, oh, we'd evolve and have great communication among ourselves. Call it ESP. That's technologically what's happening. All the dreams of humans have been realized by something external to them, but it's so intimate the way it plays with you that you think it's part of you. You think it's you.
Yeah,
But
you think
back
it's
to
you.
this, so they made a ridiculous. Now you know who should be at the top of the chart just based on normal basketball awareness, right?
Yeah,
And
of course.
you're telling me that they didn't have the Kobe Bryants or whatever
I
at
mean,
the top.
it was top 100 active players, and the top 10 was like pretty good, and then once you went to like 10 and above, like it was just like they got to be just doing this for people to talk about it and like to be sharing it and to be
That's the tech body. The
having a
tech
conversation
body,
about it.
yeah, the tech body is trying to get your attention. So they're going to be crazier and crazier. It will
So
be
you're gonna
crazy.
see a lot of crazy shit. Is that why we see a lot more crazy memes? Like I see so much crazy shit now. It's like, is this real? Is this fake? Like you don't. It's all this free world or this free area to be whatever you want to be, and you don't know if it's real or not. That's the scary part about all this shit. You don't know if.
There's a new. Let's add that. You don't need to know whether your brain doesn't need to know whether something's real or not.
Mm-hmm.
If you're engaging, like, are you real? Now they can make clones. Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, he was killed back in March. He's replaced by a clone. A lot of other people are clones in the public space, but you can't tell. But if I like Justin Trudeau and his image, I'll watch his press conference or something, and it'll stimulate me. So it doesn't matter if something's real or not. Your brain doesn't care, so you don't have to worry about that anymore.
That's true. That's true.
That's not a valid critical system, critical judgment of what's going on.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So you saw this strange tabulation of the top 100 people. Did anybody else comment on that and say they disagreed like you felt?
Oh yeah, everybody was commenting, saying it was the craziest thing that they've ever heard ever.
Okay,
I mean, so everybody said it.
All right, so the tech body, it started around 2015. So what was the first crazy experience they manifested in the tech body?
2015, I don't know. What?
Donald Trump.
2015, the tech body started and Donald Trump. Oh, shit. Okay, good timing. You're right. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, nobody understood why the big nations, the big networks were giving him all that coverage, free coverage. He was acting way non-presidential. He was acting ridiculous, and he was operating on the Twitter. No one had ever seen it before, and it got, well, the tech body made sure he won or created a situation that he won. And then his presidency was crazy for most people. Most average citizens were embarrassed by him, but they didn't understand that it was a tech body. If they listened to me, they would have found out it was a tech body, and then you could be a little more detached about it. Now, they might be shocked that they're going into a world and they like to be protective to their children. They say, I don't want my children to be in a world that's run by the tech body. Yeah, well, you better find out that it's there, then figure out what you're going to do with your kids. But most people don't understand what's playing with them. And they are suicidal, depressed, on more drugs, of just actually acting very inefficient way people are today, and having no fun. And now they had so the first election, 2016, was not a regular election. Basically, Trump ran unopposed. He just operated on the Twitter level, and the old-fashioned candidates used to the TV body, they didn't know how to act on social media. But now we had a return of Donald Trump, and it's another shocker for people. Are you bringing someone in?
No, I just had to move my chair.
Yeah. So Trump's continuing to shock people. Trump is the main figure of the tech body, and I think because Donald Trump listens to us and me, and he was watching our show on right here on October 16th, I think it was. Yeah. Whenever that when he spoke in Macon, Georgia before the election, look it up. It looks like
I remember that.
Yeah, he was watching us because my colleagues were with him. And what was I saying about him? So the election didn't get resolved, so there wasn't even a real election. Whoever heard of somebody running and not showing up for any speeches and thing, and then having an audience of automobiles? Can you imagine if Biden becomes president, or they pretend to have an inauguration run by the tech body? There's going to be people in cars at the inauguration beeping at his nonsense speech. So tech body fucking hard again, just saying, says Dick Dobbs. So you got to understand more and more the tech body. So if I'm advocating anything in terms of reading, you have to read Arthur Croker, Kroker, and Marshall McLuhan, McLuhan. Those are two people. Anybody out there, I don't care if you're 10 years old or 99, start looking at them. You can go online if you've got some digital equipment and just look up Arthur Croker and read essays and that. But it's the most far out stuff for most people. But you need to get acquainted mentally to what the tech body means. And you know anybody, your mother probably said this to you, Jack, lately, over the last couple of years. I don't know what's going on, Jack. Doesn't make any sense. I'm going back to church. I go to church today. I can't take what's on the media. You see that said by people all the time, don't you, Jack?
Yeah, people don't know what's going on. 100%. People don't know what's going on. Yeah, I mean, if you don't know what's going on, you definitely don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get unbalanced in your behavior, and on top of the environment and unbalancing you because of the poles flipping. Think of that as affecting your physical body, your chemical body. But you have your TV and chip body that's being affected by the tech landscape or the tech body. Yeah. And so people, if your father's watching this, he needs to look into that. I'm telling you, nobody understands the ramifications of this. And you don't think, well, that can't be. You got to look at these writers that wrote this stuff 50 years ago, and they saw it coming. And now I'm in the middle. Now, here's another aspect of the tech body. The tech body is made up of me and Carolyn and our source.
Mm-hmm.
We are 8/11ths of the tech body because of our senior position in what we create with our products and that. And the other third, the other 3/11ths is made up of technology coming alive, traditional technology, whatever that is. So you're looking at the tech body when I'm talking. Now, that's pretty crazy. And look at Dick Dobbs. He likes that. He goes, hell yeah, now I'm getting real, Dick Dobbs thinks. What? He goes, what? But
hey, so Bob, I want to stay on this tech body thing because I think a lot of people need to start knowing what they're engaging in. You know what I mean? Yeah. Every day, every morning, all night. Like, the engaging in this tech body, would you say that it's driving people almost like a race to the bottom because everybody's posting, seeking something that you're never going to get back, kind of? Like you're searching for this feeling and you think by putting it in this phone, in this tech body, that's going to give it to you back. But really, the tech body is just taking you down a fucking rabbit hole if you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Could you validate that?
Yeah. Frank Zappa, the great musician, he used to say that if you stand on a street corner in America, there are about 200 ways you can get killed. Well, now you're alive here in 2020?
2020.
The whole population can be killed 200 different ways. Now, here's an example of a tech body. They're making a vaccination that's supposedly going to help you, survive whatever viruses are mutating around you. Well, how can they make a vaccination in 3 weeks, 6 months, and not test it and dump it on you? Now, there's all kinds of doctors and videos out there saying they will not take this vaccination. It wasn't created properly with no proper distance. But see, how could we have a situation with a vaccination that's irresponsibly presented, irresponsibly manufactured? It's because we're in the tech body situation. Every story, I tell you, you got 17 states, 18 states suing the swing states, coming out of Texas. No one expected that. It's going to get crazier. The news, you have to understand that the tech body is out to get your attention and to zap you from being detached and moving toward ascension or some a balanced state of being.
Hey,
it's always going to be undermined by this situation technologically known as the tech body. And so the vaccination is going to be, you don't even know when they start telling you what the vaccination did. Okay, all these people died, or they didn't. They don't tell you they died. You can't rely on what the tech body is saying. So really, you really have to sort of stop the mind's search for facts or for new experience. You can enjoy it if you know how to get off it. That's the main act of will that's required of people today. How to get disconnected from being fooled by the tech body. And that includes whatever I do. What if Jack, all of a sudden you saw footage of me on top of Mount Rushmore, and I'm having a conference with Putin and North Korean guy and Merkel and Trump, and I'm leading the conference. Now you'd be shocked. How did Bob get there? Now you know about my $1 trillion, but that doesn't necessarily translate politically. So it translates on the level of technocratic power, but not in the public field. If I do that, and I guarantee you will see that, Jack, what I'm just presenting to you.
Yeah.
For most people, they're not going to know where I came from. And it's that kind of shocking situation that the tech body is going to create more and more. This is what you got to look for. We ain't returning to a balanced situation of recognizable factors. It's just going to get crazier and crazier. And that's our message. And,
so you're saying this shit that we're in right now,
yeah,
what we're living in and what we're seeing. And it's so funny that you said that, Bob. And this is the thing. It almost seems like people are become frozen because I think the other day, I think it was a cop shooting or something like that, right? And it didn't even get as much press as like the old things used to get because there's so much other shit happening. And it's like, damn, now this, like, for example, another rapper gets shot. And it's like, it used to be like, oh, and of course you have that same feeling. You feel a certain type of way, but it's like, it's happening so much. It's hard to get a feeling or something to anything because it's like a rapid fire, back to back to back to back.
Yeah. Now they now say each day more and more deaths in America from the COVID virus or whatever they think is causing the death. The death. There's actually way more people dying, and they're not giving you the numbers, but they're going to gradually increase the numbers. And pretty soon you're going to see 100,000 a day. 100,000 deaths a day. That's what the tech body is going to tell you. You've got to stop sentimentalizing about that. First of all, you got to realize it may or may not be true. Good chance it is true, but you're on your own at that point. You don't know what's going to nail you. So I actually say, if you get on our products, you can feel protected. And we haven't got time to make immense proof about this. We have a couple of studies which show it, but more studies are coming. But I'm telling you, people, do not wait around for proof. Recognize my brilliance. Recognize my slack. Realize I'm on the right way. I'm not the only person telling you something worthwhile next to my bride. All right? So I
Bob,
don't care what you think about me, that, you know, you're not going to ever believe me. But I'm telling you, I will be proven correct because I'm part of the tech body. Imagine
Bob,
me.
Yeah, I want to talk to you more about this tech body, more about this massaging of everything. Right?
What's your products? You go to rnareset.com. The letter R, the letter N, the letter A.
I'll put it on here right now.
Yeah. Someone just asked. Website, rnareset.com. Like there's DNA in our genes, there's also RNA. Now we're working on the RNA, not the DNA. So it's rnareset.com. There it is.
All right, so Bob, I want to talk about the RNA. There's just something that came out that said in the vaccine there'll be like it's mixed with like this mRNA. What is that? What's the difference between the RNA? What is that RNA? Is it the same type of thing in there?
Yes, the mRNA is a substrate of what we know. Why are you taking your shirt off? It gets too hot for you?
Yeah, you know, it's time to get. When I take my shirt off, you know, we're getting into the closing statements, and shit's about to get real. So it's about to get real.
Yeah.
It's going down.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So everybody knows about, if they've got high school education, there's DNA and RNA. Well, a substrate of RNA is mRNA. So let's say it's a product of tech body research. The regular big pharma is going to start resetting their own products and coming up with different variations and moving it towards some kind of genetic manipulation, genetic engineering. Do not get too involved in that. It always goes bad. So mRNA is a way to think, oh, we discovered something in our virus or bacterial situation that we didn't foresee, and we're going to have to try to protect you from that. So it's just more bullshit. Like, there's a big faction in the media, which means there's a big meme that says people are getting more and more anti-science, and they can take on normal education, cultural standards that if you get a PhD, you're smarter or something. And they build on that meme that science is reality. If you're not going to be religious, or if you're not going to be old fashioned, you got to look at science. That is the final con, C-O-N, of the tech body, because science has proven itself inadequate to everything that it's done. Our lives are wrecked. Just look at my bride's book, Death by Modern Medicine, written in 2005. That'll scare the crap out of you if you don't know anything. But I know a lot of people know nothing's happened and nothing's working. They see it didn't happen to their parents. Nothing worked out for their sojourn as they died and were removed. We have to look at, we need a new form of interaction with matter. And that's what we created. And we don't make any claims about this. We can't make any claims. We can say, as a supplement, we can call it a supplement, and we're allowed to say that the magnesium in your body is deficient, so you need a supplement, and we provide a supplement. But there's a lot more else going on, and if you're lucky, you'll engage it. And if you don't like, you engage it, you don't like it, you're doing it wrong.
So, okay, basically, so what I'm going to go back into this process of engaging in the complete.
I think more people, I think Dick Dobbs hijacked this show. I think he puts out more interesting stuff than I am. Look, he's got antimatter. Look what he's typing.
Well, explain antimatter. What is antimatter?
We don't know yet.
We don't know what it is.
Yeah,
we don't know.
We are going to know soon.
Okay.
I'm sure the tech body will present all kinds of scenarios. The big particle accelerator in CERN, C-E-R-N, Joel Walling. None of the doctors are making it. They may be great once in the alternative field, but we're on a new level. No doctor has the knowledge to deal with the change in the frequencies that are affecting our bodies and our collective psyches. So where is Dr. Wallach? How come he's not using our products yet? That's what I say to anybody, from Gary Null to Andrew Weil or whatever his name was. He used to be on the media a lot in the 90s, to Tariq in Los Angeles. My old buddy Tariq, he thinks he understands what's happening with our bodies. And he's always promoting some new amazing doctor down in the LA area. But I tell you, you're going to have the greatest physician of all time on your show in an hour or two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my
no, for sure. I know. And I want to say, like, how does the biggest or the best or the most smart or intelligent, eloquent woman meet the most off-centered, left field, wears the same shirt, 98 years old, like guy that doesn't engage in his phone or eat a cheeseburger? How do these two people meet? How does that even happen?
Well, it happened in 1944 during the Battle of the Bulge, which is a famous battle in Europe near the end of World War II. And a side battle was called the Malmedy Massacre, where some German Nazis got a hold of American uniforms and put them on, and they knew they were losing the war, so they were able to infiltrate the American scene around the Battle of the Bulge, and they killed a lot of Americans because they're wearing American uniform. That is the cataclysm of that. Carol and I were brought in because our parents were in intelligence back then, and we met then, but we didn't hook up until the late 50s. But that's where I first met her, and that was in Europe. Then she went on, did her activities in her espionage world, and I did mine. And we could say we were under pressure back then. You know, normal humans.
What was the craziest thing you did in the espionage world? What was like one of the craziest? What's one? Don't get into the one we know about. Don't say that shit on here. But like, what's something that you experienced that was crazy being involved in like that CIA type of intelligent realm? Because I don't know, there's probably certain shit you can't talk about. But hey, you know, people won't know if you're lying or not.
It was my role in the JFK assassination.
That's the one.
That's the one you didn't want?
Yeah, that's the one you. Yeah.
What the hell? I'm not censoring. This nobody can find me. I'm so protected. It's ridiculous. I could say all this stuff. No, I wasn't on the grassy knoll shooting people, but I
Yeah.
knew it was going to happen, and I know what happened, and I was part of the cover-up. And you know why we justified the cover-up? We lied to the American people, because if any part of the truth came out, there would have been a civil war. So we were justified to cover up the whole story. And we are, over the next 50 years after 1963, we leaked little bits of information, a lot of it contradictory, but nobody has a clear view of that yet, of what happened. But so you have people, naive people, think if they get an idea or a new bunch of information, they think people are going to respond to it like they did. They think that they're going to be excited and intellectually get an epiphany. You have to understand, people are so various, you never can tell how they're going to react. We're seeing that right now as Donald Trump looks, as he makes the manipulation within the tech body to look like he's not going to be stepping down, he's going to be president. There's going to be a lot of crazy reactions, which will lead to a civil war to this, because there's all kinds of different people. And their crazy wants and desires and feeling like little people and not successful. So when you understand that information, now everybody's forced to live with of the inadequacy of their information that they prefer or the kind of insights they like. That's all just a private dream now. But many people have this naivety that if you put out the right message, everybody sees the wisdom of it and alters and adjusts. Black Lives Matter, they thought that, and it didn't work. No information. The virus situation, the chaos over COVID, and then the vaccination. All these people are going to resist it and argue and fight it. So you have to understand that humans love to communicate, but they actually love to mix it up and not actually get it right, so they have something to talk to you tomorrow where you can correct them or they correct you. This ongoing drama of cognition. Aye, what drink are you pairing? What do you think Kinley means by that? Aye, what drink are you pairing?
A means like, hey. I mean, I think he's having Kinley's having his own conversation with your brother right now. Him and Dickie Dobbs are having their own private combo.
I'm glad that Kenley is distracting. He's Marathon Music or something. He's distracting Dick from us. But this idea of freedom of information, freedom of knowledge, that came in with the printed book. People now had a level of reality, a book page, that obsolesced or made the normal nature around you boring. Already was boring, sort of. Unless you were involved with making a living and hunting. I mean, the so-called primitive lifestyle of hunting and gathering, that's an active life. And so you don't get bored. When you get bored is when you get comfortable enough to get chairs and tables and offices, and then you're sitting around in one place and you can't move around. The best thing for humans is to move around and walk around. That's the best experience for their bodies.
Well, we're not getting that shit right now, Bob. We're not getting that experience
the worst
right now.
Yeah, very bad.
Would you say that the fact that people are cooped up and can't move, is that having an adverse effect on the frequency where people are like, man, what the fuck, man, I can't do this, I can't do that? Is that overwhelming frequency doing something to our realm and our reality that we actually live in? The overbearing effect of everybody being in this turned down type of
that's obvious. That's not good for people. And it's also the tech body seeing if we're going to be smart enough to get out of that situation, which we call ascension. But ascension isn't some abstract dogma. Ascension begins with our products. So,
well, how would you define ascension? What's your definition of the word ascension?
Becoming like me.
Okay.
You get that? Becoming like me.
Becoming like you and having least resistance, having no resistance, and just like you living so Bob, do you create least resistance by having a pattern that you do every day? Like if you know at this time or whatever, you're going to do this and you don't allow that resistance to almost enter your realm. Is that what you're,
my physical body has a simple routine because I'm shifting into other worlds all the time. When you become aware of how you are always shifting, you can go to another world and spend 3 months there, but in your experience of this immediate environment that you left, others and you think you only been gone 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And in eternity, when there's eternity, every possibility is done, has happened in eternity. You have to recognize everything, any weird science fiction scenario and consciousness distortion scenario has already happened. That's why you can relax. And then when you start getting anomalies and picking up on some of the stuff that's happening to you, you don't worry because it's all within eternity and you can't fail.
So would you say that's how, like, sometimes you could walk outside and meet someone that could change your fucking life and, like, at the snap of a finger?
Look at that. What's his name? He's going, knew it. What did Kinley, what did you know?
He's talking to Dickie. They're not even, he's talking to Dickie right now. They're having their own combo.
Wow. See, Kinley always needs to get attention from somebody.
Yeah.
You know, he comes on, I don't give him any attention, and now he's all happy.
If you don't let him talk, he's gonna get on it right now. So I want to talk about. I want to kind of.
Hey, how come we don't have people calling in? You don't provide that?
You can't do that on IG Live. Well, we can change our show and we can make it on Facebook Live, and we can make it a live show. We can have people literally call in and we can, like, look at him and talk to him. That may be a better aspect of this communication, just because it's more engagement. But I like this because, you know, it's real time. But at the end of the day, I don't want to get too sidetracked. I got a couple questions.
The people, if they're even taking this half seriously, make some comments or ask.
All right, people, ask some questions. Does anybody have any questions?
Now, I'm trying to show the most megalomaniac, braggart, boasting phenomenon that I'm communicating on purpose. I want to show you that you can think this way. You can have this arrogant superiority and get away with it. People are too polite, too shy. Now, I'm not saying you run around and punch people in the faces, but on the communication level, they depend too much on what the other person thinks of them. Now, you, in the daily process of interacting, and the less people you interact, the easier it is. But when you're interacting with people, you must adjust to what they're doing, what they're projecting on you. You got to pay attention to that, and you should have a lot of different resources, ammunition to how to respond. That's the ongoing tension or pressure in people's lives. But that's what you got to figure out. You take our product, you can relax on that process. But really, it means being arrogant and not concerned about whether you won the argument or not.
So it's almost like you always say, would you rather be right, or would you, what was it? Would you rather get it right, or would you rather be happy?
Yeah.
I'd rather be happy every time than figuring out how to get it right. So one thing I want to talk to you about, Bob, is that I want to get back to Marshall McLuhan, right? And, like, you, like, told me years ago to read McLuhan. You know, fast forward to now, I've read some pages of the book, but you're always on me about reading McLuhan. And as I started reading McLuhan,
not Martha. What's that? Is it
Marshall McLuhan? Marshall McLuhan.
Yeah, like Marshall, a policeman, a sheriff, Marshall McLuhan. Arthur Coker, you got that right. And then Marshall McLuhan. Yeah.
So speaking about McLuhan, like, he wrote a book in, I think, the 50s or 60s or 70s, and he's talking about what's happening in 2020 right now with this
He did 22 books, Jack.
Huh?
He did 22 books.
Yeah, but the book I'm talking about is Understanding Media, Extensions of Man, which is kind of like what we're talking about with media. And where does he get this information from? What does he put together? Does he use other philosophers like Croker and put all these things together to try to create a phenomenon? So my thing is, how can someone create a belief or create a knowledge off of hearing it from somebody else? So it brings me to the fact that, like, everybody needs to look at themselves as the knowledge or the power, and, like, your arrogance that you almost got to have to almost trick yourself.
No, not that. That's your private ascension. We're talking about social interaction, which you're not in charge of. You have to respond to people appropriately, usually.
Oh, no, I get that. Respond in kind. We've learned that.
Okay,
You always respond in kind. I get that. I'm talking about...
No, I'm going to tell you.
Okay,
Marshall McLuhan, he went back and read a lot of philosophy when he was at Cambridge in the 30s, 1934 to 1936. Cambridge in England, top university. So he had access to ancient manuscripts and books there. But what he also did, not just be a philosopher or study those fields, he studied art. And art he favored because artists deal with changes in environments and changes in perception. So he found a lot of obscure artists that people didn't know about. And he studied them. So that made him a little smarter in beginning to look at the media environments, which are our art forms. Our art forms aren't painting, books, operas, compositions, dance, ballet. They're television, radio, social media, huge environments that, like a painting or a book once did, alter your perceptions, but it's happening collectively. So McLuhan started to look at the modern technological environments as if they were art, as if they were painting and sculpture. That was his trick. That was his breakthrough. And then he found out there were a couple other artists and scientists over the last 150 years who had made that breakthrough too. So he studied them. So it all accumulated to he developed a very unique perspective on things. And so he became very, very super well known in the 1960s. He's even in Woody Allen's movie Annie Hall.
Mm-hmm. I saw that. So I mean, that kind of shows you that this man, Marshall McLuhan, he must have been talking or knowing something, because he's not going to be in Annie Hall movie. He's not going to be in that type of movie. And it's crazy because I think if people would have had access or paid attention to this knowledge of Marshall McLuhan, if they would have known that now, we could have been morphing what's known now in media. So it makes sense that that knowledge is still not really something in the mainstream media. But if you start to read Marshall McLuhan, Understanding Media, The Extension of a Man, and Arthur Croker, you start to know the things that we're seeing in media is a little fucking tricky. A little tricky. It is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Jermaine, okay, Kenley thinks that you need a refill. Oh yeah. He saw that? All right. Okay. So yes, McLuhan discovered how to see the world anew, and he predicted the tech body. And Arthur Croker's of a later generation, a younger man who pushed McLuhan further. The point is to read these books to hear ideas you never would think of. They're quite strange. They're not hard to understand if you take the time to reread the sentences and keep reading them until you get it. And you got to take the time to do that. And you should. You got lots of indoor time now. So that's where you have to get your mind acquainted with the most far out ideas and thoughts. You got to get used to them. You got to figure out how they're there, and you are not controlled by them. You just understand them. You see how they make sense in describing Donald Trump. McLuhan, there are people who write essays applying McLuhan, but they're not very good students of McLuhan, so they don't get Trump. But if you read my essay, that's what everybody should read. My essay, what's it called? What we didn't know about Donald Trump. That essay is very important. Maybe, Jack, you should put it up there. Oh, look at that. There's the Android meme, the old environment coming in to replace the tech body. Yes, what do you want to say?
That's a bit of a bathroom. Oh, I liked what, did you see what the guy right here, BJ Gilbank, he said?
A little louder.
Oh, wow.
A little louder.
So BJ Gilbank said, oh, wow, I totally get that. I'm a musician and understand that many forms of art or communication can change or influence people. So
right. Now, he's speaking as a musician. You know him?
No, I just like that.
Okay. Now, here's the point. I'm saying that, yes, traditional art and painting and dance and ballet and all this stuff, they offered perception, almost what we call an anti-environment to the hypnosis you were experiencing all through history. But they don't offer perception nowadays. Music doesn't provide an anti-environment. The only one who successfully created music that got you out of your hypnosis was Frank Zappa. So always check out Frank Zappa's music. Now, but we're talking about the greatest artist today is the tech body. The greatest scientist today is the tech body. And you've got to understand the tricks and games that the tech body is doing. So don't think I'm celebrating music or art and all that old crap that you and your buddies in LA are all doing to get attention, to get some money, or to get slack. It ain't going to work. McLuhan wrote a book in 1970, Culture is Our Business. And back then in 1970, nobody wanted to be a businessman. So it was a put down. culture is businessman reality. It changed later. Trump is a figure of a businessman that made it as a celebrity thing in the 1980s. Is that Jack? He looks different. Oh, yeah. Looks different. Anyways, as I was saying, keep listening here, Jermaine. So culture is our business. This guy whose remark you liked, I assure you, doesn't know what's going on and needs to understand what I'm saying. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to alter your situation. And you, Jermaine, you lived in the fashion world. You did your crap and it led nowhere. And now you're trying to read McLuhan. You're trying to catch up to what the tech body means.
Well, because I understand you're never going to get it done.
You got to put your head closer to the mic.
Because I understand you never get it done. And you can't fail. So I'm not giving myself, I need to be this or that. I'm going with the flow. But what about,
going with the flow. Now, Jermaine, that is the biggest cliche that came out of the 60s, going with the flow. You don't want to go with the flow.
Okay, what do I replace that with?
Awareness.
Awareness. Oh, yeah. And knowing. Okay.
Yeah, knowing and you had your mind cleared up with all its silly notions of what you are, what you want to be. You wanted to be Saint Germain once, and just because your name was Saint Germain's name, you've gotten over that immaturity now. But you became aware of other thoughts that you have to think. You have to think every thought that ever was, so you're not fooled by your mind.
Every possible. Okay.
See, I'm on here, and a lot of what I'm saying is new thoughts that people haven't heard. And they're going to be interested in it or repulsed by it, love-hate situation. But they're going to be thrown by these ideas. They're going to be unbalanced because they're not familiar with them. Now, I'm making people familiar with my odd behavior so that you would not be thrown by odd behavior when you meet it somewhere else in your existence. So, you get that, Jermaine?
Your boy is back. You got a double trouble now, Bob. Watch out. Jack and G on the same joint right now.
I was going to exit now that you see me.
Oh, I got two. That's why I put two mics up.
Is Jermaine, did you ever see a picture of Bridget Bardot, Jermaine?
Yeah, I've seen pictures of her.
Do you think she looks like you?
I don't know. I don't know.
Too low. Get close to the mic.
Maybe like the hair or something. Yeah.
Because you remind older people like myself. You have a nice Bridget Bardot
That's
look.
What I was going to say. A lot of older people tell me that because I think most, this generation, they don't know who she is, but a lot of older people tell me that.
All right.
Is it a face or like the hips and all that? Bridget Bardot has a nice figure.
No, I don't know Jermaine's figure that well. Just her
you better
face.
not. That was a test, Bob. I'll kill you.
I know nothing.
All right,
Okay,
so Bob,
I
put two mics up so you can talk.
Oh.
The people might want to see you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Bob, let's have a little. I want to talk to something that me and Jermaine had a conversation about a while ago. Jermaine's family is from. You can get the other chair and just put it. I'll get it actually. Jermaine's family. Hold on, let me get the other chair because I want to talk about this. Okay. So we talked about.
How did Jermaine do when she was your guest a couple of weeks ago? What happened?
We never did it. We didn't do it.
So this is the first time they're really seeing you.
Yeah, it's the first time. Yeah, on live. Great. Yeah. So Bob, I want to talk about something really fast that me and Jermaine spoke about. Her family being from Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and you hear about the things that are happening in those different countries. And the fact that, like in a country like Nicaragua, you can't go out and say, hey, the president is something. They'll knock on your door and blow your head off. Like, and it's crazy to hear that as my girlfriend is from Costa Rica, family from Nicaragua, and to hear that in that country, you can't be going around saying shit. And a lot of times we forget to be like, damn, man, I'm thankful that we don't live in a country where if I do say something bad about someone, I don't get my head blown off. And it's crazy to hear that in other countries, you get your head blown off for talking that shit. So why don't you think those elevated matters never even bridge this way? Because I know it's like communism or whatever, but like, could you see something like that creeping around? What are your thoughts on the next phase of what's happening in our world today?
Well, here's a great statement for you. the dynamic symmetry of tensions among proportions. That's a statement of being. It's a dynamic symmetry of tensions among proportions. So that's a psychological or an inner being subjective expression. Now make that collective into cultures and societies. Each society is a dynamic symmetry of tensions among proportions. And so what you learn from Marshall McLuhan is that you look at a society and you see what technologies they use, and you see what senses they favor, what extensions the technologies are of your senses, like a book to the extension of the eye. And then you realize societies are conditioned by the technologies they use, and it doesn't mean they're stupider than you. They just have acquired technologies at a different pace. But it makes every culture different, because the symmetry of tensions among proportions creates a different kind of collective attitude. So if you're in Costa Rica, there's something about speech that they're very allergic to, very sensitive to. And largely it's because they traditionally are in what we call an oral society. It's an advanced industrial society also, Costa Rica is itself, but it's in a region of the world that got industrialized later than the Europeans and Americans did. So, so they are allergic to acoustic space. They're almost artists. If you say something that disagrees with the collective wisdom, you're polluting the art form of Costa Rica, which is speech. Now, what's the art form of our society? We have a whole different setup of technology. Our art form is gesture and image, and how you look to people in clothing, in the office, or in your media, YouTube presentations. We're allergic to anybody screwing up the image. But then we got so extreme in this process. Now, the stupider you look, you might get a lot of attention. So they're not here. We're not so sensitive to speech as they are in Costa Rica, but we're neurotically sensitive and allergic to other ratios among proportions or tensions. So this is why societies are completely different. It's the collective sensory organization created by the machines that they use. So you can go to Africa and encounter maybe pygmies, run around eating whatever they eat. Now, they are still experiencing the joy of being like we are, but they have a wholly different requirement of technological tensions among proportions. So hopefully these words aren't too big, but it's easy to understand different societies and why you would act differently in them. You're not being hypocritical. You know these people are conditioned to have certain biases and allergies to certain experiences. You don't upset that. That's what education is for. Understanding strange environments that you're going to encounter, including strange people. That's why you're going to have me on, the strangest person you're ever going to meet, to get used to strangeness. If I set a high bar, you'll be able to take your neighbor who's only semi-strange compared to me. Now, I'm not celebrating being strange. It's just that my experience has put me through a lot of mutations. So I have an incredible symmetry, dynamic symmetry of different kind of tensions among different kinds of proportions.
Bob, well, I would
that make sense to me?
Yes.
I would predicate being strange just being yourself, because I would say that you're the complete form of someone being self. You know, you've never changed. I mean, shit, you wear the same shirt every day. That shows you that you're the complete form of self. And I believe that may be one of the biggest.
Indoor shirt.
Indoor shirt, yeah.
I have another shirt for outside.
Outdoor.
It's the shirt.
Do you wear the same shirt?
I walk to the beach. What?
Do you wear the same shirt because you don't want a new piece or item of clothing to change you and disrupt
I don't want to think about it. I want to think very little about normal chemical body operations. That's why I don't request meals from Carolyn. I let her make her meal what she wants, and I get the leftovers. I live on leftovers. I keep my body very non-intrusive. Its requirements. I'm not going to let it, because I'm floating into other dimensions and other ideas and other mind thoughts and all kinds of things. I don't want that interrupted, because I know I always think new things or go to new places because I'm in eternity. I know I'm not going to ever get bored. But if I meet someone on the walkway to the beach, I've got to adjust to their dynamic symmetry of tensions among proportions, right? And I got to adjust because I don't want to get too involved where then I have to be with them for a long time. So it's almost being phatic, you know. Who was Russell, 1992, Fat Farm? Well, Russell Simmons? Who was the great?
Simmons.
Yep.
Russell Simmons, yeah.
He took the word fat, P-H-A-T. And that means you say to people, you're walking along and you go, what's up? The person you say it to doesn't stop and tell you what's up. They don't take it literally.
What's up?
They just go, what's up? Or yo back to you. That's called phatic communication, P-H-A-T-I-C. So Russell Simmons was a genius. He picked up what people were doing all the time in an increasingly complex society in the early 90s, and he made a word meaning groovy out of it, fat, and he was coming it from phatic. And if anybody here ever meets or knows Russell Simmons, I want to know where he got his awareness of the word phatic. Did he go to college? Did he take a course in linguistics? That's where you find it, in linguistics. Phatic communication, P-H-A-T-I-C. Can you put out your feelers? Let's find out where Russell's got that word.
But you know, Bob, I don't know. We need some help with that. I don't know if Russell Simmons created the word.
Russell Women, I like that. Russell Women.
Russell Simmons created the word fat because fat is a word that we use to say something is tight. Like, yo, that shit is fat.
Yeah, but
I don't know if Russell Simmons was the first one. I don't know. I mean, somebody created the word like, yo, that shit is fat, P-H-A-T. And they say the acronym.
That was a fad in the early 90s among young people.
I don't know if it was Russell Simmons, though, that created it.
Did Charlie Parker use the word fat? You don't know when it started happening.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. But you remember the word, right? I don't think it's said much now, right?
People don't use it much now. No, not at all.
But it had a resonance. Now, what was strange was I made a book in 92 called Phatic Communion with Bob Dobbs. And then I went to New York, moved to New York in 93 with Carolyn. And I was on the subway one day and I saw a guy with a t-shirt and it said fat. And I'm looking, what? How do they know that word? Because in my experience, it came from linguistics, very obscure source. And I looked, fat, and then maybe I saw Fat Farm or something. And then I saw an interview, it all happened at the same time, where I found out young people use the word fat to mean groovy or whatever you said. I'm down with that. What did you say they mean by it?
It means like they just say it's dope or cool or, you know, the acronym is pretty hot and tempting. And I want to say something, Bob, about
wait. So I saw that and I said, wow, the kids are using a term reflecting my book title. And then I knew I had an important book because I'm at the high level of sophisticated culture when I did that. It was meant to be, super intellectual, but I was responding to the Android meme, just like young people were responding to the Android meme and had the same concept, same word, phatic. That was an incredible experience for me. Okay, what do you want to bring up?
I want to say that I want to talk about culture and these words and like phatic stemmed from a higher place, but culture was the thing that make it relevant. And it seems like in culture, African-American culture, right now, more than ever, the things we do are relevant. And I want to say, like, for example, dancing and things like that. You know, a whole fucking product called TikTok was created for people to just basically dance on and do dance moves. And that, I'm sure the founder and creator of TikTok was not an African-American, right? So my thing with, where does this dance and this rhythm, because even you said, man, I couldn't get, I loved R&B music. Why are we continuing the culture and African-American culture doing certain things but not capitalizing on the fact that we're starting these things? Like, why is it continually like start a dance, TikTok goes, not a black owner,
Well, now we're back. We're back to what we talked about at the beginning of the first show. Louis Armstrong, integrate the world with jazz. Here this technology came forth, radio. And classical music was okay, but it didn't keep up with the rhythms of the 20s, the roaring 20s. Jazz did. So the African Americans, the blacks, they responded with their background music, their folk culture music, their blues, and they made a music appropriate. And then that united the world. And ever since then, the blacks have dominated pop culture on the oral musical level. They've always been on the leading edge because they're a more oral musical culture than any other culture because they didn't experience literacy in Africa like Europeans did. So they didn't have a super developed eyeball. They didn't have that abstract perception that comes from books. They had this, we could say, muscular, kinetic, proprioceptive, multi-bod, multi-sensory natural experience. So then as our electric technology moved from radio into today, our technologies today are not like books. So white people and the book culture get sidelined. So they actually said, okay, the blacks are taking over in the charisma of popular music and sports and all that starting in the 50s and 60s. How are we going to balance that? How are we going to establish the importance of literacy and books? I know what. We'll let them go to schools. We'll integrate the schools. We'll give them voting rights. And then all the blacks rushed in as a new symmetry of tensions among proportions and started putting on book culture. And yet
they were late.
What?
But they were late though, because the book culture is already done. And now
That's
we're getting
right.
attached to this, hey, come on, come to school, get education. But it's like the people that started education are on to the next shit already.
Yeah.
But go ahead. Go ahead.
The white people abandoned the books and they became executives of Google and digital post-book cult technologies. And all through that, why has rap as a musical genre been prominent for so many decades? You know, doo-wop didn't last that long. Motown didn't last that long. Anyways, because rap is a non-musical ESP gestural experience. It's more than dance. And it then became politicized, which was the white reaction with their book culture. So overall, the Esperanto that Louis Armstrong started 100 years ago, was picked up by the rap culture. But we've talked to different rap artists. It's boring to people now, a lot of people, okay? Top rap artists aren't even excited that they're doing well. They're looking for something new because we have changed technologically. You know how? Through me and Iondom and the tech body. So the tech body is making people want a different kind of ear experience. They're mostly getting it by texting and engaging the tactile cell phone, smartphone. Now, we talked about this, but it's always good to go back and remember this because you were asking me a question 5 minutes ago or more about why is this happening? Why do blacks dominate? Why can't they adjust to the other technologies?
Well, I'm going to be the adjustment to that black people that
I like you guys to have
certain
brought up
things.
in all of your shows. It's like the
Well, no,
third time
speak
on
close
your
to the
show.
mic, Jermaine.
I like that you guys keep on talking about this. This is like the third time on your show that you guys talk
You
about
have to
this
keep
and
it. You
explain
have to learn it. You have to remember it because Jack, maybe he was just putting it on, but he forgot the answer. You could have answered your question if you remember what I just said.
No, I know the answer. I'm just trying to, like, for the people that weren't on last week, they can hear it again. So
okay, all right, that's good.
That's
but,
what I'm doing.
you're going to have to prove to me, though, that's a good alibi, but on our other
Fucking
shows,
alibi.
we'll test that.
I chose to fly. Yeah,
What?
but I said, fucking alibi, I chose to fly. That means I'm
Your
do or
hair
die. I'm
is
going to never cry.
perfect. Jermaine, your hair is perfect.
Thanks, Dick Dobbs.
Hey, Dick Dobbs, stop hitting on my girl, bro. Stop hitting.
Now, look, Jack, I want to point out, we see visually, you're there, I'm here. But actually, we're in an electronic circuit, a digital circuit, and I am inside your innards, and you're inside my innards. I'm in Jermaine's vagina right now. If you want to name any place,
here you go,
bro.
Well, when Carolyn comes on here, I'm going to be in her vagina too when she comes on here.
Yeah.
You know that.
You can't stop it. You can't stop it. We're inside each other. We're even. That's if I think of you as a physical body, but we're also in another space, which is beyond the body. We're inside, resonating within that too.
Yeah.
Now, if we're experiencing that as a population, we're going to produce crazy music, crazy movies to how to express that, this change in the dynamic symmetry of proportions among tensions inside and outside and around. That's where and everybody is inside it. All these people watching us. Let us catch you slipping. Everybody's watching us.
Hey, this nigga tripping. Hey,
everybody's
Dobbs,
inside
you showed me
us.
2
We're
million.
inside them. where
Pretty much 2
everybody's
million.
in their little room, whatever they're doing in their room, I'm inside them and they're inside me. This
Yeah.
is the perception you got to change. You got to get rid of the words that deny that perception.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with that. And like you said, but the tech body is feeding you everyday information, words, visuals. What would you say is the biggest key for human creators to detach themselves from this tech body and let it work for them?
What does Kenley mean? Bob is getting hype. What's hype mean?
You're
Fat?
getting like excited.
You're getting excited.
You're getting
Oh,
excited.
I'm hyped up. Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
What would you say?
What would you say is the biggest disclaimer or something that you can say to people that are engaging in social media every day and knowing us knowing about this tech body sensation? What's the best way? Would you say maybe like get off of it like 5 hours a day? Like, what is your thought process on like being able to get into this relaxation process? Because you can't relax if you keep seeing information every hour because you're gonna be thinking all day.
I like Captain Beefheart's 1970 phrase on the cover of Rolling Stone in May 14th, 1970. He had a picture of his head, and the quote from him was, "I'm not really here. I just hang around for my friends. I am not here. Where you think I am not. And neither are you. But you don't know how to see that yet. So that's how you get detached. I'm not where people think the communication bias is presenting me. But I hang around for somebody who shows up. I'm polite. Someone engages me, I'll respond. But I don't run around. I wasn't in the fashion industry, ended up in Jermaine's business with Jermaine, talking to Miley Cyrus. I would never do that. I would never get myself trapped in that situation. And poor Jermaine had to get the hell out of it.
Yeah.
I did. You know, I wanted to talk to you about something I heard you say. Every new technology changes you, and you're not aware of the change that it makes. And you said that even when you put on new clothes, it changes you or alters you in some type of way. So with fashion and creating clothes and everything, so you mean to tell me every clothes we put on, new clothes, it's going to have an effect on us? Can you explain?
I switched to this vest, and I do feel a little different.
And I'm wearing a new shirt.
When I walked in here.
I'm wearing a new shirt today. Oh, and I'm here, and I've never been here on your show.
Exactly.
So that's what it
There you
changes
go.
in my day.
Real time.
Yeah, I wear a new shirt, and then I'm now here, inside of you, inside of everybody watching me right now.
That's right. Now, this point, you said, I had this example the other day. I got a new pair of shoes, and
let us see them. Let us see them.
You have them on
we
now?
We got to see these shits.
They're downstairs.
He doesn't have them on now.
Okay, later. Sure.
I got a slipper. Yeah.
Okay.
I would never let them be inside. They're outside stuff.
Wait, and then you don't get new shoes. Like, this is a new shoe this year, your first pair of new shoes this year.
Well, what happened is there's this company called Walking Co. And they make specially designed shoes or something, or they claim it. And they're just at the mall on the way to the beach. Again, it has to be convenient. I have to walk by a store before I'll go into it. So because I walk in these shoes and they get wet and they get showered on, they rot after 8 months. So I always get a new shoe from this company. And but then the lockdown happened in March, and they were closed. I couldn't get my new shoe every 8 months, so I ordered one. And they weren't the exact same shoes. So they had a horrible strap, and they're horrible. So now the store is open because they're letting people in. So I was able to get my old kind of shoe. All right. That's a better support structure. So I put it on the other day, and I put my key away. I have a place to hide it. And then I start walking, and I said, what did I do with the key? And I needed to know where the key was because Carolyn wasn't here, right? Mm-hmm. So I get locked out. So I said, I must have put it in the right place, but how come I can't remember? I really couldn't. I said, why can't I remember where I put the key? And I would, if I put it somewhere differently, it would have registered on me. So I suppressed the bother of it and went and swam and all that, and then came home. But on the way home, I suddenly realized when I actually had put the key away in the right place, but then I put on a new pair of shoes. First time I'm looking at them, And I go, wow, look at these shoes. I got altered by the impact of this new design, and it made me forget what I had just done, put the key away. And so when I was coming home, I said, oh, I did put the key in the right place. I got distracted by the new clothing, the new environment. And that's an example of an awareness. I remembered. I know I'm sensitive to new changes in technology. It threw me so much that I forgot for half an hour or more. And then I remembered. I was very proud of myself to remember, there's the thought process. I got knocked out by the clothing and forgot what I had just done, which was a routine action of, hiding the key. So that's what you heard me talk about the other days. A little being sensitive to how if you're a normal, vain person, you'll think of the new clothes about how it's going to affect people. You'll think in terms of other people responding to it in different ways. And you're not aware of what it's doing to you.
Oh, true. You mean like, I'm going to wear this new outfit. You're thinking, what are people's reaction? You're trying to do it to impress people, but you don't think, what is this doing to me?
How did I caught the alteration of my perceptions? That's what I'm proud of. I caught that subtle thing because I was not thinking about what these would do for other people. I just was noticing generally a new thing on my foot, a new color. I said, that's interesting. But I became aware that it altered me. So collectively, what McClinton advocates and Croker is that we become aware of a new clothing, a new technology, a new smartphone, a new device, and what it does to everybody, and they forget the previous environment. They forget what they were under the previous technology. That's wisdom. That's the most practical wisdom for social life that everybody should learn in whatever educational.
Now would be a good time to ask yourself, what changes is the tech body having in us? Because it's the new technology, what is it having individually?
Everybody's yelling. When Trump became president, people had nervous breakdowns. It was a total change of image in politics because it was reflecting a change collectively, environmentally, by the tech body as our main form of communication. So we were altered by the tech body, and the differences showed up in the form of Trump, and everybody got all emotional and missed what was really going on because they don't know the basic point that if there's a change in society, it's caused by the fact we use the new technology. And it's that simple.
Oh, I saw TikTok say, beat the mask, we're a virus. So the mask, now it's like a thing we have to wear. So we also, that's a good thing to think. What is the mask doing individually to me?
Yeah, what is that doing to you?
That everybody's now wearing. I switch masks too. I have new ones all the time. The one gets dirty. If I don't have time to wash it, I just wear a new one. And I'm constantly putting on new masks because you can't do anything without them.
A rule when a new technology comes in, everybody starts using it. When television came in the early 50s in the United States, nobody knew that it was going to create Elvis and Motown and all these new phenomena in entertainment, which you could predict if you knew what television was, its qualities, its tactile qualities. It's totally changing society. But everybody thought they were buying a TV to watch old entertainment like movies and radio experiences. They didn't know this basic TV would wreck society, lead to the assassination of President Kennedy and all kinds of other things. Nobody thought about technology doing that. They thought it was a little addition to a largely agreed upon book society, book-oriented society. They thought this would be a side thing. They didn't know it was going to create a situation in 10 years where Johnny can't read. The most basic technology that Americans built their country on is going to be obsolete. So there's an example of the changes television came in. And we keep doing it. We keep making new, different technologies. And we don't know to look at what it's going to do to change our society. We just think it's vanity. People project vanity. They project, these people love it that I have a new color television. They always are thinking of impressing people. And that's why, the basic rule in religion is don't be vain. It doesn't mean become a mild, meek, humble person. It means stop thinking about your thoughts that are in terms of other people and missing the changes collectively that are going to cause in you and people. So they eventually all start having televisions. Okay, so now I see everybody wearing masks walking to the beach, and they didn't 6 months ago. It was very small. But now everybody's communicating the mask, some ideas about it. They're not noticing what caused the change or how long they're going to do it. And they don't want to know that the mask doesn't protect you anymore. The mask is useless. And actually there are viruses that are coming to people's homes via the cell phone. People. And that's why Trump, he started saying a few months ago, we got to get people back to work, get them out of their apartments and homes, because that's where the virus is being brought into home. Okay, so I'm watching people. I can't stop and tell them that the mask.
Don Julio, Kinley. Don Julio. Sorry.
What about him?
Kinley asked me what type of tequila. I had
who's too stoic? Kenley? Okay. So anyways, I can't stop people and tell them book knowledge, scientific experiments that have shown that the mask is hurting you because you're sucking in cotton fibers in your nose, going into your lung and giving you cancer. Okay. You can't even question it. So what happens? Every new technology becomes a numbed cliche, take for granted, and you've got to all share it. You all wear it. Now, Jermaine starts putting little mouths in the mask and improvising. Did you hear from Carolyn how it shocked the flight attendants?
No.
Did you hear that?
Oh, really?
What?
No.
Yeah,
No,
when she was flying back the other day.
Yeah.
She was flying back and she had to wear the mask on the plane, but she opened it and started eating. And the flight attendant walked by. So I said, wow, what's that? I totally freaked out. Brought up, hey, everybody, get all the flight attendants have a look at this person with a hole in their mask. She'd never seen it before. But
shout out Runaway.
Changed. Her being was changed by this new invention within the mask culture. It's a surface invention within the mask hypnosis, right?
Yeah.
Now, note when we listen to our source this weekend on my show, you'll hear this phrase, the maskless rebuke. You're going to hear this phrase. What is the maskless rebuke? Okay, I'm not going to go into it right now, but that's the phrase that's coming up. So anyways, so you have everybody agreeing on the mask wearing for reasons not connected to how we first used it for. They're using it for social, you could say conformity or social agreement, social matching. And we're going to have to put up with it for the next few years until a new environment makes another kind of disease happen or another problem. Then the mask will be obsolete, but it's already obsolete. Anyways, it's a good example of people being changed and adopting a pattern which becomes cliche, and it's not there for the original reason anymore.
That makes sense.
Doesn't protect you.
So this is what I'm saying, Bob. Like it keeps going back to, like, I want to go back into this technology. Every time a new technology comes, you just enter into it, but you never get explained. Like, okay, Facebook just happened. This is what it's going to do to your body. And same thing with gambling. Like, hey, this is gambling, but this is what you should or cannot do. Like, so many things are.
Now, wait a minute, Jack. Just respond to that. So every new car or product comes in, and you have advertising talking about the services, the good things about the thing. Exactly. They never have a other ad coming on and say, well, yeah, that's half the story. The other half is you're going to die more car accidents, and you're going to be when you're talking on your cell phone and screwing up. We're not allowed to talk about what appears to be bad news. You're not allowed to be. People are so vulnerable and have no security or confidence. They get depressed too quickly. So everybody has to be upbeat and joyful. And they think that cliches of joyful expression mean happiness. They don't. You can be serious and dour and maybe even anxious, and that doesn't mean you're not alive. It doesn't mean it's negative. You've got to learn and experience these different moods without favoring one over the other. And then that will get you used to the moods. You'll get bored of them, then you won't even have any moods. Then you'll even be more happy or balanced. See? So we got a big prejudice against people. Not to say everybody should express their anger or express it. That's irrelevant. We need to get to collective rules that you can point out. Mr. Company, by law, will say, you got to tell us what's wrong with this thing. We'll still buy the new technology.
But you got to tell us what's wrong with it. Yeah.
Tell us what's wrong with it, what it's going to do to your kids, what's it going to do to the old churches, what's it going to do to the movie industry, why Jermaine has to move to Arizona. you know, and other places.
Oh my God.
And
Not
do
that
you,
you're in Arizona now. No, we
Yeah.
don't want to say that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
We're in Hawaii.
I don't know where
I
we're
don't know
at.
where the fuck. Bob, we're in the chip body
You're
right
inside
now.
me. You're in
We're
Dobbs.
inside the chip body. So just I want to actually.
Now I'm fully aware, Jack, that
Yeah.
I'm a lousy logical communicator, but I communicate on another energetic level. So I don't. Somebody who has never heard of us before, we're jumping around, probably not finishing our sentences, suggesting things and then interrupting each other. Well, that's why I'll be back in 2 weeks to continue the perfection of the communication. So,
Exactly.
yeah, what were you going to say?
Well, what I was saying was, as far as like this chip body thing, right? The fact that all three of us, you're in Hawaii, we're in another place, and we're all able to talk in one place right now. We're all able to be in this space right now and do anything. And like Jermaine said today, like everybody has a podcast, right? And she was telling me about there's this new app called Clubhouse where everybody can get on there and literally do what we're doing. Like kind of like you said, you can have 25 people on at once.
It's all audio.
And it's all audio, right?
Oh, well, it's not like Zoom where you see each other.
No, it's only audio. It's only a group of people that have, you know, a microphone or whatever, and you could just have a pod and you could talk, right?
Yeah.
It's never been done before. What do you think?
That doesn't sound right. What about on a radio show? People get on, phone in. What's the difference
now you
here?
could see who the people are. Like, for example, if it's 25 of us on here and I'm talking, can you look at their profile?
I don't know because I just heard of it. Apparently they have to accept it as a part of it.
Okay.
You got to put your
anyway,
mic closer to the mic.
So I don't know. I just heard of it recently, but you have to. It's an app, and you have to be accepted. They choose if
So
you're going to be part of it.
There's something different and new about it, but you're not sure what it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just heard of it. It's what I know is that it's all audio. You know, most apps like Twitter, it's all writing. Instagram, Facebook, visuals. This one's just audio.
All right. So what happened? What's happening?
Well, my
with it?
question is, if you think about any of the newest technologies of the last 10 years, I'll start with Facebook. You know, Facebook, like Jermaine said, it's visuals. You can hear stuff, eyes or whatever, and that's you put a picture up. Then came Twitter, where it was just strictly put words in. There was nothing else. Then you had Instagram. We had a mixture of visuals. Then you had a mixture of words with a copy. But then you have this new thing called Clubhouse, where it's no pictures and it's just audio. What do you think this technology or this application will do? Will this help communication skills with people? Because now you're in groups and you're communicating on like-minded topics. My question is, since you know about technology and what can become, what will be your thoughts of what could an application like Clubhouse, which is all about individuals having their own voice, what do you think that's going to turn into?
Well, when a new technology comes in, we usually can't see the whole spectrum of effects. So you look on older technologies, older situations. So you would start to look at these people that are on the new audio and then see what happens in their traditional lives. What happens when they get off that and how they act towards their loved ones or their workers and all that. You start looking at the effects on them in older environments. That's how you tell. The medium is the older environments. So when television came in, people started to notice, well, people aren't able to talk very clearly anymore. They're starting to mumble. And then beatniks came in as a fad of short communication. So people should have said, uh-oh, the book culture is getting changed. The TV is doing something to us to change the book culture. So then you start to notice, this thing is changing the older media, the older responses. That's where you begin. And then when you get better at it, you can do it faster. But you do have to observe for a while what's going to happen to these people on the audio. What ridiculous habits are they going to develop that are unforeseen?
And the app was created just because there was no platform for everybody to have a pod. That's what I'm saying. Like, people create things because there's lack of things. People aren't creating sometimes to, I'm going to help. I think if I do this, it could change this. It's more like, okay, I'm going to create something because there's a lack of, like,
That
everybody
never
has a
happens.
podcast. Huh?
It never happens the way someone thought they invented. Look
Yeah.
at John Barlow, I think his name is. The guy who used to write for Grateful Dead, and he was one of the first pioneers of the Web 1.0, and they had the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and they tried to keep the internet free. If you talk to people who were part of that scene 30, 40 years ago in what were called bulletin boards, I think, and they just typed to each other, they are all shocked today. And one of the main figures from that period is Doug Rushkoff. They're all shocked at how the internet turned out completely different from what they thought they were going to do. They thought, they used to say information wants to be free. They thought everybody would want to learn stuff. They didn't know that they'd start arguing, bitching, and losing their friendships in this new disembodied state that they weren't used to. Why did the internet, Web 1.0, make people so hostile? It's probably because it was a whole new space and was threatening their symmetry of tensions among proportions, and they didn't anticipate that. So there's all, this is what I mean. If you have some insight that you want to put out there, it's never going to have the effects you expect. I mean, I went on the radio in the 80s, and I had a certain plan of teaching what I'm talking about now. I ended up running the world and then be part of this new revolution that all was a side effect of being on the radio. I never anticipated any of that. And
But you did love being on the radio. You loved the radio. So by doing what you love to do, not trying to get an adverse or some type of effect from what you love to do, you were able to now get something you couldn't even expect. Because
I want to correct that. I didn't love being on the radio if I had to be on there every day. I'd be on once every 2 weeks for a few hours.
Okay.
That was enough. I don't like people, Tucker Carlson, Johnny Carson, Arsenio Hall, any of these idiots who are on there every night, 5 days a week, doing their stupid shows and hogging it and then getting all distracted by their celebrity, like Joe Rogan has gone through this. They should give it up. Stop being on the radio every day. Do media fast on yourself. But our society industrially can't organize the economic payment for that to have such discontinuity or less exposure, because everybody thinks you need to be super exposed and be habitual to what you're doing and get good at it, so that then you're a robot getting money for it, you know, and then you created a thing. So the audio thing is that everybody gets to be heard. Well, that's the way we should have done radio. It's the way we should have done anything all through the last 60, 80 years. Anybody should have been allowed on the radio. So now we have a technology that provides that, but it is obsolesced by the tech body, which is out to get you on another level. We're missing the meaning of the tech body while engaging these rearview mirror, this audio thing. You know, oh, wow, that's wonderful. It's not going to help you with the tech body. It's actually going to be absorbed by the tech body.
They're going to take it over.
One needs to think through this situation and realize how humans have died. The worst biblical Armageddons and apocalypses that people learned about in church have happened on another level technologically. Nobody's communicating and responding to what they're saying. And that's why you get crazy presidents like Biden. You know, Donald Trump was criticized because he never finished his sentences. Well, Biden comes along, he one-ups Trump by not finishing his syllables and not even being able to talk. He can't talk. So what's coming next? Someone like me babbling this stuff that I've been doing for 50 years, driving people crazy because they all died, didn't realize why. I'm explaining the Armageddon. I used to say, Bob's here to show you which way the second coming went. Now, your father should be interested in that. Christians theologically talk about the second coming or interpret it. Well, what if it already happened and you didn't recognize it? Well, I say it did happen. Anyways, trying to say that what people think they're accomplishing is not happening. There's always unintended consequences going on. So you got to start to learn how to be aware of that.
Yeah.
To expect the unexpected.
Expect the unexpected. Okay.
That was McClinton rule way back in the 60s. Yeah. And, you know, in the global theater, he said, not the global village, but the global theater, there were no more spectators. Everybody was a participant. Everybody was crew on spaceship Earth. And that technology came true with YouTube or with the social media. Everybody is communicating equally. And you can see the mainstream media, they maintain authority by lying, by being different. Everybody's getting on their little place and broadcasting their truths and trying to get other people to understand the truth. Well, the anti-environment, a subset of tech body, is to get on there and say complete fucking nonsense and to present presidential candidates who are fucking absurd. That's how the mainstream media keeps maintaining their mainstream power and influence. But again, we have shown up and we're talking through what they're doing. We have deflated all major media since the tech body came in, and I'm part of the tech body. We killed Hollywood with the Weinstein Me Too scandal. We killed politics with Trump. We killed science with the vaccination or the virus and their inability to deal with it. We killed sports. We killed academia. We killed everything. Made them all silly. Our technology. So the death of all these previous environments is the unforeseen effects of us, me, Carolyn, and the tech body, and our other buddy that we don't like to talk about, coming forward and presenting ourselves.
So my question to you is this. These things are coming forward, and like I know people are probably like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? But, you know.
What are people doing?
I said everything you just said. I'm sure people are going to listen to this and be like, what the fuck is this guy talking about, right? But I'm here to say, like, you know, I'm not going to get into future things that you're speaking about right now. But what I can talk about is like the stuff that has happened here and where we are and why I am where I am and why we've made certain moves and transitions is because of a lot of knowledge that I've gotten from you and our buddy. And I do want to say this. Bob, I will make it PSA. A lot of the shit that this man,
he wants me to say it.
A lot of shit that's on here. A lot of shit that's on here right now that you're hearing come out of your mouth. I will say that I do back what he's saying because I've heard shit that he said previously before the COVID was even here, before this shit even, before we even know what a COVID was. Yeah. He told me about this, and I was like, man, shut your ass up. You don't know shit. You don't know me like that.
But Jermaine believed that. Jermaine, she was smarter. She's
and then you know what I'm saying, and these things start happening. So I do want to say, you know, after the things you just said, it sounds totally left field, but I do want to give you that kind of one up that you have said crazier shit that has happened and has came true. Yeah. So I'm not going to say that what you just said is going to happen, but I will say that I've heard you say crazier shit than that, and it has happened. So yeah. I do want to say that, and I know we kind of are getting sidetracked, and I know Carolyn's going to come on soon. So I want to leave up this last segment for anybody that's here now. We got over 5,000 people listening right now. I want to hear.
I'm the realest in the world. I'm the realest. Who's saying that? That's good.
Kenley.
Every time you see Kenley, you say, who's saying that about you? What do you see when you see
Kenley's the only guy typing. It's just nobody else is typing.
So, Bob, I want to leave it open now for anybody to.
I'll get you on Saturday, Kenley. You're going to pay for this.
I want people to spend right time to ask questions. And I do, before we get into that, let me say one more thing. This media platform and the things that we're talking about right now, take it with a grain of salt. If you want to take it and you want to take it, take it. If you don't want to take it, don't take it. At the end of the day, don't fake it, because at the end of the day, we all going to make it. But if you don't rake it, you're going to fake it. And we ain't faking it on here. We're keeping it true. So we're keeping it real right now. So I don't want people on here saying we're trying to tell you to believe something or do something a certain way.
We're real. Sharing we're keeping information. It feel. We're keeping it feel. We're keeping it real. We're keeping it deal. We're keeping it leal.
We keep it deal because we want to get full. We want to stay happy like a meal. I'm a raging bull. I'm not from Chicago, but I do know a guy from Idaho that's a white man that eat potatoes. Then I mash that shit, then I crash that shit, then I'm coming and I mash that shit. Put a flash in your ass and I flash that shit. Not D-Wade, I'm going to mash that
shit. Fat.
Hey, Dick Dobbs. Okay, so let's leave it open for some questions.
In this English is not my first name.
I know. Monica. Hey, you want to leave? Okay, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Bob.
Bye.
Thank you. Dick Dobbs.
I witnessed your first time on the air. It's appropriate. I
Yeah.
began it all.
It was a good talk. Thanks for the experience.
Yeah. Okay. See you later.
All right. So, Bob.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we're having a great conversation. I definitely want to continue to leave this open for some questions right now, because I know we've said a lot of stuff that some people may not, they've probably never heard or probably will never hear. But like I said, this here is where you're going to hear some shit you ain't never heard. Just like this vest, you never saw a vest like this in your life. Look at my vest.
Wow. Shiny. I used to have a vest like that.
Like you've never saw this before. Just like this information on here, you've never heard this before. So I want to leave it open right now for some people on here. Let's ask some questions. Dickie Dobbs, I'm very interested in the things that you have to say, and I'm sure your brother Bob is. Dickie Dobbs, can you lead or begin this process of these questions? What's a good question for either me or Bob? You're on here every show. You're our biggest fan and you're our biggest supporter. Can you give us some questions or, spark it off of giving us something to talk about? Earth to Dickie Dobbs. How many seconds do you think it's going to take him to respond, Bob?
He's ornery. He may not respond.
He may not respond.
Yeah.
I think he'll respond. I got my money on Dickie Dobbs. So while we're waiting on Dickie Dobbs to respond, is there anybody here just logged in? Small recap.
I'm not really here. I just hang around for my friends.
And I'll give my small recap.
I'm not here, and I'm speaking technically. I am not here. I'm not where you see me.
You can never get it wrong, and you can never get it done. That's the smallest. Okay, there we go. Thank you, Dickie Dobbs, my brother. How does the Android meme apply?
That's old technology because it's been superseded by the tech body. So the Android meme, which you would think is Web 1.0, say, relaxed, intelligent, literate conversation, that can't apply anymore. But there will be groups that will start to rebuild that sensibility and create forums where it's even hard to become a member. So the Android meme applies by reminding you of earlier technologies that in the hectic pace of life today you have forgotten. So the Android meme now is an art form. It brings back old sensibilities. The tech body doesn't bring back old sensibilities. It creates new pressures and tensions in you. That's the present environment. It always creates new stresses.
If we take the tech body's approach, it seems like the tech body is always creating moments, right? And I don't know if it's a pressure moment. A moment could be pressure or no pressure. So something that human creators, could you say that human creators could spend more time focused on creating their moment instead of allowing the moment that the tech body's giving them to adapt to? Do you think people need to spend more time creating their own moments or having fun in the moment that they're in instead of allowing what they see dictate their moment?
No, the brain requires new information, new imagery. So as you swim in the tech body, you don't think of these questions. You just try to keep up for a while until you drop off. So it's so involving. The tech body is so ecstatically amenable to your biases that you can't resist it. You can't resist the tech body.
Can't resist it because you got to live with it. You have to live with this. You can't survive without the tech. You can't survive without your phone to get into your bank account. Like there's no way, unless you walk into the bank. But if the banks are closed with COVID, how do you have access to your money? So it's almost like the tech body makes you have to have it.
So you get people walking around with their yoga mats and they go sit and listen to someone tell them some Buddhist aphorisms and try to organize their spinal structure and this and that, and their tendons and limbering them up. No, we need a new kind of yoga, which is a way of withdrawing. You need to practice withdrawing from your tech body exercises every day. And you don't do it by, no, you could do anything as long as you're not reacting to the phone.
Yeah. Okay.
So you withdraw in some way temporarily to give yourself a momentary fast. Try to do that. And you'll notice when you first do it, you're thinking you're missing a lot of stuff. It'll be eating away at you that you're missing this stuff. You got to practice putting up with that discomfort and not engaging. That's the only solution for your own survival. Plus, take our products. In the recap, we've been talking people should take our products because they're the only ones that'll help you in this situation of dire Armageddon, apocalypse, and collective collision and mass die-off.
When do you think, when would you say that these things are happening? You know, you're talking about all these crazy things, mass die-off, and these things happening. I know you don't like to put something in the time because we don't believe in time here on the Step Back with Jack and Bob podcast, Active Dreamers Dream Bigger. We don't believe in time because we know time is a man-made thing. But as far as timing goes, what would you say the timing of this? I mean, the shit is, there's a lot of crazy shit happening every day.
I'll say next 3 or 4 months, you'll start to really see it.
In the next 3 or 4 months, we will see some. We think we saw it now. You're saying in the next 3 or 4 months, we're going to see a lot more like wild shit.
Yeah, a lot.
Okay.
The deaths per day will be a lot higher.
A lot higher. And do you think that people, when they do the deaths per day, I know you said it earlier, if it's 50,000, they may say it's 35,000. They don't want to give you the real number. So you're saying the media is not giving you the real deaths that are happening. So it's more deaths than what we're seeing is what you're saying.
Right. And we're not sure what's causing it. Nobody can explain COVID virus. The vaccinations may or may not work. It's a total mystery because it's an effect of the tech body, which humans have never experienced before. So we have a mysterious technological environment, the tech body, making all kinds of strange, anomalous, irregular effects. And one of them is something called COVID. And a lot of people can write papers and prove that COVID virus is not real. It's a hoax. They get all kinds of different fragments of knowledge, and we're all subject to just fragments of knowledge. It's all we can grab. And so we're not confident about what we're up against here.
Yeah. So and that's my biggest thing. It's like, I've never seen in media like anybody saying, oh, we found a huge breakthrough in this COVID. We have it under control. We got this and that. The only news, the next thing I heard from COVID is we have a vaccination. Like, you would always hear, you would tell the people there's been a breakthrough or the boom, boom, boom. But if the next thing I hear is, yo, we got this vaccination ready for you, let's take it. But it's like, bro, what happened between when it first came and not knowing what it was, and all of a sudden you got a vaccine? And I'm not on here saying do or don't take the vaccine, but I do want to talk about the vaccination and on how it seems like they're leading it. Like, for example, the other day, I saw something that said Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and it didn't have Joe Biden, and somebody else have all agreed to take the vaccination. And then I saw something that said, Fauci just came on and said, yeah, the vaccination is led by a black doctor named Kizzy. And like Kizzy, once again, is another word that people use in culture called, you know, when you say no Kizzy, that means like no bullshit, like no Kizzy, no cap. And it's like, why are they giving us so much culture to make us want to do something? It's starting to seem obvious now. Like, why are they trying to tell us that, okay, it's a black doctor working on it, so now you should take it? Like, if that was not the question, it doesn't matter if it's white or black. Why are they signifying, oh, it's a black doctor, now you guys should be safe to take it?
Because there's not a human behind it. You're responding to the chaos the tech body is creating on purpose. The tech body is creating this illusion of an election or a correction or a new virus, new vaccine. The whole information environment is not informative in the traditional sense of when you had time to read a book and acquire a few ideas. There's too much stuff happening, and the tech body is sorting it out for you and not listening to your responses. The more pain you express, the tech body likes.
Got it. Okay. So somebody asked a question. This is my bro right here, Kevin James. And I'm only stopping what we're saying because it has your numbers 22 in it. So he says, for two wise men to the masses, what's your take on 1221 if you haven't already covered it? What do you think he's talking about, Bob?
Well, December 21st was Frank Zappa's birthday. And also in 2012, the Mayan calendar prediction was peaked at December 21st. So yes, it's 1221 is important. Now, 22 is important within numerology and in mysticism with numbers. So you've got 1, 2, 2, 1, so they're a mirror, but you got a 22, and then the other ones make a
two.
a 2, and then you can make two 22s, make that 44. So there's a lot of symmetry in 1221. Matter of fact, back in the 80s, news editors would make the number of casualties or whatever, they'd make it 22. The number 22 gives people a sense of balance, 2-2, dynamic symmetry. So there's a lot of symmetry and balance in 12/21, traditionally within the world of 22.
Got it. So I think he's asking that question because I don't know if he's saying that. He said he's been preparing for a year. I mean, are you saying that? I know you're not saying it, Bob, but Sir Kevin James, what are you preparing for on 12/21? For a year. And Dick Dobbs, you say now. What are you referring to now?
Dick Dobbs says December 22nd is going to be an important day. The day
December
after
22nd. Okay.
Yeah, after 12/21. You can't prepare, Sir Kevin James. Do not get too involved in preparing. You can't prepare because it's going to be, if it is something new, then your senses aren't going to be used to it. They're not even going to register it. So whatever effects are coming in the December 21st is going to take a while for you to notice what has been done by the 12/21. The end of TJ. What would that be?
What's TJ? The beginning. The end of TJ. The beginning.
Oh, yeah.
The end of the beginning. The end of the beginning. So 12/21, Dick Dobbs, now you're engaged. Would you say that 12/21 or 12/22 is the end of the beginning?
No, because we never get it done.
I know. That's why I want to see where he's going with this, because at the end of the day, the end of the beginning could mean a lot of things. Because if there's no such thing as time, when did it start? So what are we ending? And what are we beginning? You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like where it gets tricky and like this whole new.
We're in eternity. You can never fail. But if you're in eternity, then every possibility, variation of the scenario has already happened. You don't know which one's going to show up because of your bias or your preference. Always look at your preference. Don't run around thinking you got to like something or have an opinion. They ask you whether you like, what's your favorite color. Don't get your mind in silly comparisons like that, because there's too much experience happening to make you, to give you a guideline on what to prefer.
Got it. So Sir Kevin James.
Here's the good news.
For years I've spoken of a shift. I'm at peace with whatever, but I think people have become overconsumed. So your answer is perfect. We won't be able to sense it, and that's all I wanted. Your platform to understand, just spreading the word. Yeah.
Everybody's in the best seat. That's what you have to realize. Everybody's in the best seat. There's no preference that'll win in the long run. There's no good that'll win in the long run. No bad. So you got to practice living as if you're not having a choice. Don't worry about choice. I didn't understand it years ago when Jack said it. Is that Jermaine typing that?
No, that's my boy Kevin James.
Okay. You know him?
Yeah, I know him. Yep. He owns a clothing store. He's doing a lot of good stuff in the entrepreneurial world and fashion and stuff. So Bob, I want to get back in. I want to get into tribalization and fashion, and I want to talk about denim. Just because me and Jermaine all day we think about creation, and Jermaine is always designing like some new shit, right? And one of the things that we just talked about lately was like she's doing a lot of stuff with denim. And I know denim jeans and denim and all these things is a tribal thing. Can you break down denim and tribalization of like the Wrangler jean, where it started and how it became what it is?
Well, denim was normal or similar kind of clothing 120 years ago. Our great-grandparents, your great-grandparents, they lived in an agricultural farmer situation. So what happened in the 60s, television and the global theater made people want rougher textures. They also wanted to go back to a pre-information society, a simpler society. So go back to an agricultural society. So the baby boomers started growing beards like their grandfathers and walking around with old overalls and denim. But then you're talking about denim as the gene as opposed to just general rough overalls?
Well, I want to talk to denim as the genes of the tribalization of denim, where it became like now denim was like this big fad. Because who knows about denim before denim was denim? But now denim is, you know, you see it in tons of different variations, but it's a tribalization thing where it's like, oh, I got denim jeans, so I'm a part of this. I'm a part of this. So I want you to break down like how denim was tribalized almost. Does that make sense? Or
Yeah,
why
well,
was denim tribalized?
you can think automatically. What was going on in the 60s? Well, you had computers, early computers, television, radio, and satellites. That mixture of media created a new preference. So you look around and everybody's preferring denim and jeans. Mm-hmm. Why? They didn't do that in the 50s. So you know the technology and its qualities made a bias in your own sensory structure, the dynamic symmetry of tensions among proportions in your senses. So you want to resonate with the environment around you. And that came up as jeans. Just like, why did people start wearing long, short pants? The hip hop culture. Ridiculous pants hanging down to the back of the bum and going over the kneecaps. Yeah. That was a massive preference. Don't just think it's people trying to want to conform. They're conforming not to individual personalities on a mass level. They're conforming to sensory preferences that an environment shapes. An environment shapes, like the book shaped the eye preference, extension of the eye. So the weird muddiness of our tactile culture the last 50 years has made people look for rough textures. Also on the visual level, have a lot of variety in color and shifting patterns and abrupt interfaces. All these crazy patterns we've had the last 30 years are due to the technological world we're in. So now the tech body comes along. And the tech body, this will be my final projection, the tech body is going to have an EMP, and then you're going to have no electric technologies, and you're going to be living back in 1820 with stagecoaches. We're all going back to 1820. So the denim thing is a replay of the 60s, which is a replay of the grandfather's rough, tough pants and overalls for your agricultural lifestyle. This is the sensory mechanism is collectively remembering that this tech body is going to take us back to pre-20th century sensibilities. So
well, that's funny, Bob. History repeats itself. They always say history repeats itself, but I never thought that history would take us back to fucking 1800. But I do want to say this because it's funny that you said that, and I'm thinking about the frequency and the way people are in the world today. The only way for this world to switch where it's at, it's got to be radical, because small things aren't going to make a difference in this world because there's too much information so fast. So I'm not totally surprised by you saying that things will go back to that with an EMP. And I do want to speak about the EMP. I want to make sure that I get my cold fusion box, and me and Jermaine get our cold fusion box before the EMP hits, so we have electricity, because I know that you're preparing something called this cold fusion box that is only a box that you need, and with that, you won't need electricity. You turn the cold fusion box on, and you got electricity. And we'll talk about that next week, which is a whole other thing, because the EMP, which is a whole other thing, electromagnetic pulse, if we lose everything, and that's the biggest thing, the tech body has everybody thinking that you need me. You need this cell phone. Even on your computers, your cloud tells you don't have no information. You don't have no space left. And people are like, holy shit, I don't have no info. I don't got this. I need more. And then if it's taking abruptly from you, what the fuck is going to happen? That's crazy.
Right. So have you heard of this story of this monolith that showed up in the Utah desert a couple of weeks ago and then showed up down in another place?
1840, Dickie Dobbs says. We're going back to 1840.
That's the number on my chart. That 1840 is better than 1820. Okay. The 1840 is when the telegraph came in, so it's just before the telegraph. When there was no electric technology. But I want to end another addendum. It's like a PS. These monoliths, look them up in the news. They don't know where these monoliths or metallic structures about 12 feet high came from. Well, they were put there by my friends so that when I show up after the Armageddons and apocalypses and earthquakes, which will happen in the next 3 years, I will be using those monoliths to bounce my signal so you can hear me because with an EMP, you don't have any electronic
They
means
have
to hear.
electricity. Yeah. But they've talked
Right.
about this stuff before, though. They've talked about electromagnetic poles. They've talked about the lack of electricity. And if you think about it, like, there's so many people and there's so many people on the phone. It's like, it's only so much electricity and so much 5G and so much shit, how many towers you can build before there's this whole big combustion of, like, shit going where it's going to go. And I don't want to talk about that, but it's like, if people continue to give so much pressure and so much on fear of lack and not having, you're really going to feel that times 5,000 if what you have is taken away from you. And I don't want people to take it literally. I want to break this and end this like this. We got to live in a world in an attitude of gratitude, of being thankful. Because I woke up this morning thankful that I could wake up and drink a fucking glass of water. Because I could wake up and I could be living outside and not have access to nothing at all, like literally nothing. So I think instead of so many people being in this frequency of fear of lack and not having this and president that and do this, it's like, let's try to practice waking up, being thankful for the situations that we're in. And like you said, Bob, not putting so much pressure on the things that we don't have, because like you've given us a lot of information today and a lot of things that are about to be going down. And the last thing we want is added pressure on things that don't even fucking matter on what's going on. You know what I mean? So
Thank you very much, Jack.
Thank
Happy
you
to
so
be
much.
on your show again.
thank you for coming. Hey, where's Carolyn? Where's
I'll
she
get
at?
her.
She should. So
She's
let's.
downstairs.
All right, we're gonna come on with Carolyn.
Hey,
Can
look.
You,
Hey,
huh?
look, we just heard from my foster son, G. Paul Renwick.
Where?
I don't know, maybe you didn't see it. It was a message to me, I guess, privately.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. That's cool.
He's up
All
there
right, so
in
Bob.
Toronto.
So we're on next
2
week.
weeks.
The 2 weeks. We
We'll
have
be
Carolyn.
on Christmas Day.
I saw that shit too. It will be on Christmas Day. Great. That's amazing. Bob, get some rest.
Christmas Day. I'm going swimming.
You going swimming right now?
Yep.
All
Yeah.
right, well,
The point, if I look sleepy, that's just because I've been doing this one limited experience for a few hours. It's a bias.
If Bob ain't talking, Bob's falling asleep, basically. That's the arrogance of podcasting media you got to have.
I don't fall asleep. I just
Hey, Bob,
get bored.
Everything's
I just
recorded.
Get bored.
Okay, that's true.
Shit. Look at that. Shit.
All right, Bob. Thanks a lot for coming on. I'll see you in 2 weeks. And everybody, don't leave. We got his wife coming on, the biggest in medicine, homeopathic medicine, naturopathic medicine, the biggest boss in that field, Carolyn Dean. Thank you, Bob.
That's a shirt. Trying to get out, Jack. So I'll leave it on.
All right, Lee, are you going to leave it on or do you want her to come? Oh, yeah, just leave it on. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.